That. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
We do have a few minutes. I'm just going to start getting the presentation up and then we'll get going right at 9 o'clock.
Morning. I need you to make me a co-host.
Good morning.
Morning.
I am setting up the presentation while we all get ready to get started. Can you guys see
Morning,
my?
everybody.
Good morning.
I can see it. You just got to knock it out of, you got to put it in presenter. Perfect.
There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So if you guys are here for Ignite, you're in the right place. That's a good start to the day.
Crushing it. Crushing it.
You just have to do the first thing, right? And that's a good start to the day.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll wait a couple more minutes to see if anybody else is going to join us.
I dropped the workbook for today into the chat, guys,
Awesome.
and I'll put the 2 script books into for both Spark and Elementals, because I know everybody's feverishly scripting. Can't get enough. Can't get enough. You know what? I didn't even sleep last night, Timmy. I just couldn't wait to script. I'm working on it with my cat. She's very helpful.
Right.
No objections.
Even
Fluffy,
cats
who do you
need
know that wants
housing.
to buy, sell, or invest in real estate?
Oop. Go back to the beginning here. There we go. Everybody needs a house. We're in a good
Yes.
commodity. I do have somebody else in my office today, so if there's a little bit of background noise, that's what that is.
Is it John? Can we eavesdrop while he does his lead gen?
It is John.
Oh,
We
I
could
love
eavesdrop
all
while he
of
does
that.
lead gen.
Mic him up. It's like an NFL game. Mic him up.
Right? Because you have to do the right thing first.
One
Oh.
of the absolute best scripting leaders at our market center here at 463, John Kenyon, actually enjoys it. Look at him. He's a maniac. He actually enjoys making the calls.
Sleep with this thing on.
How many conversations will you have today, John? Like, what's the goal for you on a given day?
Probably 15.
15 conversations. Awesome.
Yeah.
What do you average for appointment based on that average Monday through Friday? What do you average for appointments per week?
We're probably getting, I would say 3 or 4, probably getting a new biz, 3, probably what, 2 or 3 pieces of business a week.
And how many families will you guys help for the year? What are you tracking to do for the year? How many families are you guys going to help?
I don't know, because now we're doing roofing too. So
60 to 70.
60 real estate families and probably more than that in roofing.
Yeah.
Kenyon Real Estate, we have you covered. Is that the slide line? Is that
We
the
have you
t-shirt?
covered. That would have been a good
Oh, I
tagline
like
too.
that.
Yeah, you might call me. I'm right here. Just give me a call.
He got for his roofing business tagline, quality every shingle time.
No, Kenyon, no. Send those overseas. Send those, like, those are like the Super Bowl shirts when the team loses. Send them overseas. We'll start over.
I do
Yeah.
like that we've got you covered. That's a
You
good,
covered. Yeah, it's all encompassing. We're going to sell you the house. We'll put a new roof on it.
yeah,
Yeah,
I like that.
all day. I need a double extra fat if you're handing them out, by the way. Yeah.
Right. And so for all of you other guys listening, we're in real estate, so we should also be looking at, what else can we do in that encompasses our industry that we can also be leveraging for income for our families. So for us, John has a contracting background, so he started a roofing business. So it adds on to, diversifying how we're going to make money for our families, but it could be, are you looking at buying rental properties? Those are things that you guys should be looking at as you're building your skill set in real estate. How else can you be involved in real estate that will diversify your income stream?
First.
And I'll plug in here.
All right. It's 9:04. We should probably get started anyway.
Mhm.
So my name is Susan Kenyon. Thank you guys for taking the time to come here and be with us for Ignite today. I am an agent up in the Portsmouth, New Hampshire Market Center with Tim. And when I teach Ignite, and I'm so grateful that you guys are here because I really enjoy teaching Ignite, and it really helps me grow as a real estate agent as well. So thank you for giving me that opportunity. But I always come from the perspective of production. I am in production, and my husband and I work together. We have a small team here in New Hampshire, and everything that, my flavor for teaching and for wanting to do whatever I can to help you guys launch your real estate career will come from the perspective of getting contracts signed, setting appointments, getting business so that you can bring money home to your family. And as we go through, I would love to see your video, your faces up if you want to, you know, turn your videos on. I welcome you to interrupt me. Just either hit the space bar to unmute yourself or click the unmute button and jump right in with any conversation or anything, questions or anything that you might want to add to the conversation. And that's who I am. I'm up here in New Hampshire, and I'm licensed in New Hampshire and Maine.
Good morning, guys. My name is Tim Lindsay. I'm the productivity coach for our market center. Our market center itself, the brick and mortar, is in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Our agents serve 3 states. So we don't have any brick and mortar in Massachusetts, but we all have a lot of agents who jump the border to serve their loved ones down there. And we're also have brick and mortar and licensed agents in the southern Maine area. So they will take all your referrals. Dr. Kenyon being first and foremost, of course, because she's blessing us with her time today. I've been with the company since 2010. I took the coaching role in 2014. Absolutely adore. I think the coolest part of my role is to be in an environment like this where we're teaching and helping you guys build your business. I'm going to recommend this, and I know we're 9 in. I know we're at halftime right now. The delineation between people who take Ignite and people who engage at Ignite is going to be wildly different, right? So ask yourself, because we're halfway there right now. Have you had the conversations every day? Are you adding people to your database? Because when we get to the end of the month, over the course of 20 business days, do you have 200 people in your thumb drive? Have you filled your command? Otherwise, you're just hanging out. And I hear a lot of people, and guilty as charged. Keller Williams offers a lot of education. You can get lost in the curriculum should you choose to. And it's a blessing and it's a curse. And you hear some people say you could be a professional student here. I'll challenge that, because I bet you're an amateur student. Professionals get paid. And our job is to get you paid. So do not become an amateur student at Keller Williams. There's an opportunity. I use a lot of bad analogies, so buckle up, but here's one of them. Our educational system is like a Vegas buffet. It's always open. There's always food. When you're hungry, go up, fill your plate, sit down, chew slowly, digest. And when you need more, it's going to be there. You've got 7,000 of us in New England, arguably one of the most talented regions in the country. So you are not more than a hand raise, a text, or a phone call away from finding out what you need to know. And that's what you've got to get over. The most expensive thing in real estate is our ego. So park your ego, understand that you're going to be the source of the source, rarely ever the source of your client's real estate greatness. And as soon as we can do that, we can lock arms and move forward together, you'll be in a better place. So we really appreciate your time today. Susan's a rock star. You're in for an action-packed 3 hours, and it is a long 3 hours. I'm not going to leave my camera on because I won't always be paying attention. Said with love, then go. If you're going to lean into this, keep your camera on, ask questions, engage right now. This is phenomenal content. We would not be teaching this if Gary didn't think it was important. So just know that. And I guess ask yourself that question. If Gary was teaching today, would your camera be off? So welcome. You're muted.
Thank you.
And we're back.
I'd love to start with, have your camera on, interrupt me, interact, because how we participate here is how we participate everywhere. And, we are in the business of being really good communicators, and that is verbally, and that is with our tone. It's in writing. There's going to be a lot of content, throughout Ignite on communication. But if you're shy, that you're too shy to get on camera here, how are you going to act when you're in front of somebody wanting to talk to them about buying and selling real estate? So jump right in. Want to remind everybody that, we are, and I keep advancing this, I apologize. The goal of Spark is to set an appointment in 2 weeks. And for those of you that were with Tim and I for the kickoff of Ignite, I said we're going to be coming back here on the 14th to find out, who's set an appointment. So has anybody here set an appointment since we've started Ignite on the 1st of September? Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
you have,
I have a few buyers that are have already signed on with me and are actively looking and are pre-approved, but I haven't had any listings yet. But that's a work
that's
in progress.
great. That's great. I'm glad that you have some signed buyers. And you know what? It's getting a little better out there, guys, for working with buyers. I'm seeing it get a little bit better. I know it's hard to work with buyers right now, but if you can start your career during a very difficult and challenging market, imagine how it's going to be when we get out of this challenge. So good for you, Isabel.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Did I see Debbie raise your hand?
Yep, I have an appointment this week with a buyer. I had a couple last minute offers, one last week and one yesterday. So it's kind of
Fantastic. Fantastic. That's great. Congratulations.
Thanks.
And when I'm working with buyers, I love to, when I'm sitting down and going over that buyer agency agreement, and I'm going to keep this very generic because we're with different states here. And we have different compliance and different rules and regulations. But when I'm sitting down with a buyer and we are signing that buyer agency agreement, I use the language loyalty agreement.
Mm.
And I know that I'm getting a little off. I'm turning into a squirrel and we've hardly even gotten started. But I like the language loyalty agreement when I'm working with a buyer because it's really important that we're loyal to each other. Obviously, we are going to be loyal to them because we want to get them under contract. But what we're really using that language for is we want them to be loyal to us because it's a bilateral contract. So we need to have that understanding that this is a loyalty agreement so that as you're out in the marketplace and you're shopping online and you're seeing properties become available, you know to call me for your needs when you want to have more property information or when we need to start looking at disclosures or setting up showings and stuff like that. So that's kind of a good little 2-word script when you're working with buyers and getting them to sign. Awesome. So today we are going to be talking about a day in the life of a real estate agent. So a great place to start since it's only Tuesday and we still have the rest of the week to get going. And I always love this slide during the beginning of Ignite because we're so fortunate to be part of an awesome company with Keller Williams who put so much energy and resources into providing us the education that we need. And what successful agents do every day, they went to these successful agents. They went to the top agents and said, "What do you do every day?" And this is what they do. And this is what they still do. So if they're doing it and they're being successful, then we should be doing that so that we can be successful. There is no need to recreate the wheel here. So we want to do what they do. And that looks like growing our business first. So we start growing our business by lead generating. And I'm sure you guys have heard a lot about lead generating for every session of Ignite, and that will continue to be the flavor for the rest of Ignite and for the rest of your real estate career. And I like the starting with the lead generating for buyers and sellers because the first session of Ignite, there was a little video that we played by Gary Keller, and I'm a sticky note person for like things that resonate with me. And here's my sticky note I wrote down from that very first session where he said, dealing with business never takes the place of finding business. So when I come into my office here in Dover, New Hampshire, and I sit down at my desk, this is the first thing that I read. Dealing with business never takes the place of finding business. And that is lead generation because really real estate is all about the lead. So every day we have to start with lead generating for buyers and sellers. And we're making seller listing presentations and getting listings signed. And we're making buyer presentations and getting buyers agency agreements signed. And we're previewing real estate. So for those of you that have signed buyers and you can go out there and go shopping with them, you're previewing real estate. When you go to an open house, you're previewing real estate. And, you know, I encourage you to look for open houses and go to them. And, you know, when you go to those open houses, friendly reminder to let the hosting agent know that you are an agent and you're just here to look around and learn more about the market. You're not there to talk to anybody else at the open house. You don't talk to other people's clients, and kind of distract them, because that hosting agent, they're there to lead generate. So you host an open house to get buyers. Our our sellers think that we're hosting open houses to sell the house, and that is always a goal, to sell the house. But if you're hosting an open house for someone, you're there to lead generate for unsigned buyers. So if you go to an open house that somebody else is hosting, you let them get those buyers. We never pass out cards or even put your name tag on. Buyers don't need to know that you're there as an agent. The only time you should be a secret agent, really, is in that scenario. And if you can go on any home inspections for previewing real estate, do that. Home inspections are a fantastic way to learn about property. And why are we previewing real estate? So that we know our market, so we know what's out there, so that we know what when I flip digitally online through a listing and I see all the photos and then I show up and it looks nothing like the house, I'm now getting experience in what kinds of things I'm looking for. And once we do the left side of this screen and we grow our business, can you guys still see my screen? Okay, because I got a weird pop up there. Once we grow our business, then we get the privilege of jumping to the right side of the screen and do the running of our business. And running of our business means we did all that work to get buyer agreements and listing agreements signed. Now we need to market the seller listings, and we need to go shopping and show buyers houses. And we get to negotiate contracts. That's a fun session at Ignite when we get to the making and receiving offers. And transaction management to closing. Oh, so fun. The contract to close, one of my favorite parts of real estate. We get somebody under agreement and we go through that whole contract to close process, which is going to be your time to shine. And that's where you start working on getting repeat and referral business. So don't miss that session of Ignite, because there's a lot of great tools in there. It's not only about getting through the contract. A lot of these pieces are, how am I serving my customers and my clients in a way that I'm going to use that as lead generation for getting repeat and referral business. Vendor management, right? This is a relationship business. I love to hijack Tim's saying where we're in the relationship business until somebody has a real estate need. And that is true for our customers, our spheres of influence, our clients. And it's also true for all of the other people that come into play when we're working with our customers and clients in vendor management, like our lenders. We need to be in good relationship there, like inspectors and appraisers and title companies. And all of those other people that will come in and out of the transaction. We need to stay in relationship with them too. And we need to set goals, right? Our goals of 2 appointments during Ignite. We don't get to having the goal of a contract, of a purchase and sales contract, if we're not getting appointments. So that's why we start with the appointment. We talk about compliance and risk management when we're running our business. Like, it's really important. This is a huge transaction for our clients and we cannot mess it up for them. There's a lot of risk that could be involved for us and for them. So we need to know what the pitfalls are before we're putting our people into any kind of exposure. And we're doing what we do today. We attend training and get coaching. And then towards the very end of Ignite, probably the most important session is going to be about finances and managing your money. Because if you guys, like, this is the left and the right side of the screen. Wow, this is a busy day. Times 5 to 7 days a week, every day. If we work that hard, we need to have some money at the end of the year to show for that. And salespeople, and this is a sales job, If you didn't think this was a sales job, you need to rethink why you got your license. Real estate equals sales. Salespeople are the easiest people to sell to. We buy anything. So you get calls for subscribe to this lead source, subscribe to this marketing program, subscribe to this channel. We're the easiest people to sell to. And it's easy to say, oh, you know what? Oh, that's only $40 a month. That's only $100 a month. I can afford that. If we're not managing our money and we're spending too much money on all of those kind of things, we're not actually taking it home to our families, and they deserve that money. So don't skip the session on finances towards the end of the end of Ignite.
Yeah, Susan, I think it's session 17, and it's Matt Erdman. So he's
Oh,
operating principal for Greater Hartford. He's the regional operating principal for New England. A phenomenal talent. If you've never heard him talk about, he's doing a wealth building program right now that's been going on for the region. If you've been dialed into that, that class will be well worth your time. And if you miss it, go back and watch it again later with your cat, because it's all about it. And that's the thing. If you look at the way Gary, I hate to use the word judges us, rates us, enumerates us after every month, it's based on profitability. Like anybody can have a phenomenal 30-day period, or a phenomenal year for that matter. And then when you get to the end of the year, you're like, oh, I got $1 left. Like you still can't afford ramen, right? That's not a business well run. No judgment, but most business people get into they get into an industry and they're like, okay, we're making widgets. We're selling bear claws. And we're going to sell these bear claws, whatever we make, then we're going to pay our debt, and whatever's left over is our profit. And you guys will notice with the tools that we use in Command, the CGI tool, and that great book from Michael Michalowicz, it's profit first. So we always have you in the conversation, put your profit first, and then we extrapolate out taxes, cost of sale, expenses, and we get it down to, well, now we need to know how many kitchen tables we're going to protect that number. Your friends at Liberty Mutual say they're making 75, said with love, they're not. They're earning 75. Their take home after taxes and 401k and all the other things is whatever it is. It's not 75. When we sit and have a conversation with you about what do you want in the bank, we're having a conversation about defending that number profit first. And that's how we're rated as market centers. That's how we put all of our agents in a line. Who's most profitable? Anybody can run a business and anybody can make a ton of money. It's who actually has profitability at the end. And if you're getting into business planning clinic in the next few months with your market center or at the regional level, Gene Rivers is going to do it October 20th and 21st in the afternoon on KW Connect. You'll hear the terminology about 30, 30, 40. So you're thinking every dollar I make, I want to be as lean as possible. We know most businesses scale to the extent that cost of sale is 30, expenses is 30, 40% goes home with you. 40. Like that doesn't seem like a lot. Most of our really strong teams struggle to hold the line at 40. You'd be amazed. So that's why all of this is very important. So the managed money thing, it's almost a disservice. It's number 9. I'm surprised Gary hasn't moved that up. We got to be well aware of the fact that I'm an independent contractor. I can do whatever I want. Most realtors they're realtor rich on Friday and they're broke on Monday.
Yeah.
So just be very mindful of how you're running your affairs and what's earmarked and what's truly important, right? If this is going to be a legacy worth leaving for the short people and the cats and the dogs in your life, then we need to act accordingly.
Yeah.
To manage our money.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that is a great book, Profit First. And
yeah,
it was,
it was the last regional event we had before COVID hit. Yep.
I was just going to say that.
March. It was the day after we finished Bold. And a whole bunch of people went down to see Michael Michalowicz speak. And then the curtain was drawn closed and everybody went home to sit in their Tupperware houses and hermetically seal themselves off from COVID.
Yeah, it was a packed room, and that was the last packed room I've been in for real estate.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
But it was great. So definitely don't miss that session. And I every session's great, but that is in particular a really great one. So that's what successful real estate agents do every day. So don't get caught up in, do I have all my flyers made? Is my website perfect? All of those things will not matter if you don't lead generate and get appointments and get agency agreements signed and get purchase and sales agreements signed and get to a closing table. And guess what? Doing these things at a high level every day is a full-time job. It's a full-time gig. If you're a part-time agent now working into that, then when you are doing the setting goals part, then I'll challenge you to get to the full-time part faster, because doing this at a high level is more than 40 hours a week. Um, but it can be done. And my husband was in construction for 22 years. And then he got his real estate license in 2009. And it's 100% commission, right, guys?
John had
That's
a
a
full
big
head of
jump.
hair before real estate, right?
Oh yeah, that's
2008,
gone
full
now.
luxurious head of hair
So
before 2009. Then he joined real estate. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was at Liberty Mutual, and I wanted to make that jump to full-time agent. So I got my license, and then we had to set the goal. How are we going to replace my income and my benefits with a whole household with 3 small children, 100% commission? And we did it our first year. So if you commit and you know that this is what successful agents do every day, and if I do it, I will be successful. You can do it. It can be done. So um, take the advice of people that have already been there. And John and I are famous for, we don't feel like we have to create everything. We do what other people do to be successful. We're like, what are they doing? Let's just go do that.
Right. It's the red book, right?
It's
It's
the
all been
red
drawn.
book.
It's all been drawn for us. And you made a great point about the business cards and the website. And I know we harp on this quite a bit, but here goes more harping. You'll always hear the analogy of Disney used. Gary uses it. Our regional director, Nathan Dickey, who's also our OP up here in Portsmouth, uses it all the time. You're building your Disney, right? And what you need to remember is when Walt first opened the park, was Disney complete and perfect? Say no.
Nope.
He just opened the damn park. If you only have teacups and you've got some average fried dough and one set of mouse ears, open the gates. We've got to let people in to start to build the experience around that person. We need patient zero. That's the worst term I could use in the last 19 months, but it's what just fell out of my face, right? You need your first person to come on the ride with you so you can figure out where your blind spots are, where the dents are. And they're not going to get harmed along the way. But if you're waiting for your website to be done, it's never going to happen. Your business cards are never going to be perfect, and you're never going to be ready. Your job as a Keller Williams agent is to be prepared. And that's what you're doing today. So
I don't remember the last time I was on my website.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, people. I don't even really know what it looks like, to be honest.
Yeah.
Go talk to people
Yeah.
and set appointments. And when you're doing your setting appointments, don't be intimidated by that. If you haven't set an appointment for a specific piece of business, then start with setting an appointment to talk to somebody in your sphere just about real estate without even knowing what their need is. Start having the conversation so that we're not overwhelmed with having to have a listing appointment. Just start talking to your friends and family about real estate. Ask them if you can sit down with them for an on-purpose conversation about real estate. Make that your first appointments, because guess what? The next ones will come easier once you have that confidence behind you. Okay, so we're going to jump in. This is our roadmap for today. Growing your business, running your business, setting weekly and daily objectives, creating accountability. These are all important things that, for successful agents do every day, piece of our life. So this is our roadmap, and we're going to jump right in and get started.
Just a heads up too. We're going to give you guys a bio break around 10ish and another bio break around 11ish and have you on your way by 12, 14ish. Sound good? Excellent.
Awesome. And I think Tim's always good about keeping me on track, because I know it's
I'm absolutely
long
not.
3 hours, but it flies for
I'm
me.
the reason we run late. If you're not shocked by that information, welcome.
People do not decide their futures. They decide their habits, and their habits decide their future. That
Gary
is
says
such
it
a
all the
great
time.
quote.
Show me your schedule. I'll show you your future. Gary says that all the time.
Right?
So you have to ask yourself, if you're using Command, if you're using the Google suite that KW offers us, if you're using your Google Calendar, which is tough to say real fast, if you're using your Google Calendar, if you open that with Gary standing over your shoulder, would you be proud? Right? It doesn't need to be chock full of appointments if you're not there yet. But have you laid a roadmap for your greatness for the week, or is it just blank? And it just says stuff. Right?
Yeah.
Because we get lost in the stuff. We have to be purposeful about what my face has appointments, things I need to be doing to have a kitchen table by 4:59 on Friday.
And it's, we have to be mindful of what our day is going to look like, because if we don't have our day mapped out, and we don't have those habits of sitting down and doing lead generation every day, before you know it, it's noontime. And then before you know it, it's 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then you're like, well, I'll make my calls tomorrow.
Mm.
And then that becomes your habit. And then you don't make any money. And then you don't renew your license. And then you end up having to get another full-time job. So people do not decide their futures. They decide their habits, and their habits decide their future. This job is not rocket science, people. It is not. There's so much more common sense to this job, and it's more consistency of our habits than anything else. So we need to build in and be on purpose about creating those habits. Small things done consistently in strategic places create major impact. That was a quote from David Allen, which just resonates with me, because it's the small things that you do consistently that will build your business. So if you're lead generating in the mornings and you're doing it every day, a couple things are going to happen. You're going to get really good at it.
Mhm.
It's going to be easier. Those conversations are going to get easier the more you say them, the more you practice. Practice makes the master. Absolutely, Heather. That is so true. And we want to practice on each other before we're practicing on our clients. And that's why getting a script partner is so powerful. When I had the benefit of my husband having been in the business before I got my license, so I was able to really learn a lot from him and listen to him on the phone before I even had my license. It was like scripting all the time in my household. My kids did not love that. I'm not going to lie. But
So much so they all joined the military just to leave. Yeah.
seriously,
Everyone, like the Marines are business. I'm out.
yeah, I do. My kids two of them are in the military and one's in ROTC in high school. I don't know how that happened. But John and another top producing agent and team leader, Mark Zoller,
Mm.
from our market center, they started real estate together. They would script practice every day at 7:30 in the morning, because that's when they left for work to get to the office in Portsmouth. And they committed to it. Every day at 7:30, they called each other, and they scripted for 15 to 20 minutes on their ride into the office. And they just got right to it. There was no like, "Hey, Mark, how was your dinner last night? Did you guys watch any good shows? What are you binge watching?" It was you call and you jump right into it. "Hey, Mark, this is John calling from Keller Williams. How are you doing today? Do you have a few minutes to talk about, your future move," or whatever their topic was, if it was a for sale by owner or an expired. So I encourage you guys to find that person in your market center or in another market center would be fantastic. That will let you guys practice those conversations. And it can be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It will help you to be better when you get on the phone and doing your lead generation. But that was a daily habit that they built into their calendar, that they committed to, and they got it done before their day could get busy.
Susan, a couple things. I think to Susan's point, if you build those relationships, first and foremost, find at least one person and commit to 5 days a week. And I say this as the coach up here for our kids at 463. I don't want you in ardent headset lead generation Saturday and Sunday. You got to make room for family and faith and yourself. So Monday through Friday before lunch, we should be like a Jerry Lewis telethon. If you don't know who Jerry Lewis is, ask your grandparents, right? We should be absolutely rocking and rolling on the phones and having those conversations. However we get a hold of these people. That being said, the 5 jobs of a realtor. If you have a sharp crayon, write these down. If you don't know what they are, Gary's 5 jobs of a realtor. And I'm gonna give them to you in Gary's order. I would switch the order for my head, but I'm gonna give you Gary's order. Lead generation every day. After lead generation, we do lead follow-up. After lead follow-up, this is after lunch, we're going on appointments. After we go on appointments, that turned into a contract. Now we're negotiating. We're negotiating contracts is number 4. Go on appointments is 3. Negotiating contracts is 4. And Gary puts it 5, which is fine. Script and role play. Now for my P brain, I have to reorder this because otherwise I'll get confused. So, and I actually added a sixth. And I think a lot of us might fall into this trap. So the sixth might work for you. I would say my Tim's six are script and role play. Then I get into lead gen. Then I get into lead follow up. And after lead follow up, and I think this might be golden for a lot of us, lead follow through. I generated the lead. I've earned the right to stay in contact with this person in a business sense and deliver information to them. Now they've asked for something through my lead follow up. They've asked for something of value. And this is sometimes when you get that phone call, Susan, and it happens to all of us. Hey, Susan, Tim Lindsay, I asked you to send over that blah, blah, blah about 123 Main Street. I don't see it in my email. And you're like, oh my God, you know why? Because you put it on a 3M note or a cocktail napkin. I'm picking on Nathan Dickey, and it's flying around the cab of your car. It's not in your command. It's not in your task list. So then after that, I would put going on appointments and negotiating contracts. So those are your 5 jobs that Gary would say, or 6 jobs that Gary would say every day before and after lunch. We looked at that panel that Susan showed earlier. That's your schedule. And if you're doing none of those things every day, you're near real estate. If you're doing at least one of those, you're in it. If you're doing them all, you're rich. I want to be your friend, right? And we'll talk about the differentiation between rich and wealthy later. But does that make sense? That's absolutely every day. That's our job. Well, I got into real estate because I wanted to be on TV. Cool. Get out. Like 2 of us are going to be on HGTV. Everybody, there's only 40 of us in this room, 49 of us in this room. One of you might be on HGTV, right? That's our job. Those are the 5 jobs of real estate, if Gary ever asks you.
Absolutely. And our goal today is to build a plan on how to use your time effectively to fulfill your mission so that you can build a career worth having, a business worth owning, a life worth living, experiences worth giving, and a legacy worth leaving. So
Yep.
our goal today is to help you with what is your day going to look like every single day so that you can have all of those things, so that you can be successful, so that you can get those appointments. And you know, I'm so happy every time that you bring up the lead follow through, Tim, because people do business with people they like.
Mhm.
They also do business with the person they remember. And sometimes it's whoever is their top of mind in real estate.
Yep.
And it's our job to make sure that that's us. They do business with whoever's the most right in front of them most of the time.
Right.
And
Well,
if it's not us, that's our fault. That's our bad. That's not their bad, even if it's your sister.
yeah. And think about what we've been talking about as a realtor community, certainly within the ecosystem of Keller Williams. When COVID hit, I think most of us, 1,000% of us, went into care calls. It became a really popular thing to do. And I think you could do it always. It's never a bad idea. If you think that we're through this and everybody's okay, said with love, you're wrong. Everyone could use a care call today. So when I'm calling Jennifer, I'm not going to say your last name, Rosema, did I nail it? I did. Excellent. Misspelling for 900, Alex. So if I call Jennifer today and I do a care call, stands to reason, especially if she's one of my Mets, a person I know where Jennifer's at right now. I know she's got short people in school. They're not necessarily moving. I'm calling right now to do a care call and to find out, and the script we've been using up here at our market center is, do you know anybody who is food or fuel insecure? Because we're heading into that season, right? If the school's closed, maybe somebody on their street's missing breakfast or lunch, or the heat's about to turn on and there's nothing to turn it on. And we have to be okay with that because I know probability, national average, the average American's moving every 3 to 6 years. Jennifer's not in that window, yet I owe her a call. I want her to feel cared for. And if she asks me for a fuel connection for Stratford County, New Hampshire, and I never get back to her because I don't follow through, how does that leave me looking? And I don't mean looking like my ego. I want to look right. I want to look and be right. I want to deliver for her. So that follow through is massive, no matter what your call is.
Yep.
Because we're always adding value. Most of us don't want to pick up the phone today because we fear we don't offer the person on the other end of the phone value. We're always delivering value because we're head down, hard up, service first, sales second. There's always something we can offer them. It's about how we engage, the questions we ask, and if we're entering the conversation with the servant's heart. If this is transactional for you, you'll do okay. If you do the long play, the legacy worth leaving, Simon Sinek, the infinite game, if you're here for that, I'm with you, and you will print money and change lives. And it's going to be a longer play, a heavier lift. You've got to be patient. If you're transactional, you'll do okay, but I want you to change your thinking about why you're doing this. If it's a transactional thing for you, I don't think anybody's here for that. I think you'd be at a different brokerage.
Yep, absolutely. And we're in a unique position where we really can get into the nitty gritty of people's lives. And a lot of times we're helping them into a good situation. But uh, also, a lot of the time, we're helping somebody out of a bad situation. So either way, we're helping, but understanding what their wants and needs and motivations are is the best way that we can provide value to them so that we know what resources to bring into their lives. And we can never assume and we can never judge. Even when we're looking at properties like, oh, they're not going to like that house because that bathroom's disgusting. Some people might like that bathroom. We just can't judge stuff like that. We have to let them make those decisions and
I
ask great
love the mob
questions.
toilet. I love the
I
mob
know,
toilet.
right?
My favorite. My grandmother brought it over from the war. Yeah, it's our favorite.
Yeah. But when we create great habits, the success will come with it. It will come with it. So we're going to talk more about that. And we start with our calendar, right? Our overview of what should our day look like. And from 8 to 8:30, it's motivation building time. What does that mean? That can be different for all kinds of people. For me, I need to get I need to get dressed every day. So when COVID hit and people were working in their sweatpants, I am not productive if I'm wearing a t-shirt and sweatpants. I need to get up, I need to shower, put my makeup on, put my work clothes on, preferably come into my office, not just my home office. But if it's your home office, find a way to make that the most productive. But it could be motivation time, could be inspirational videos that somebody watches on YouTube. It could be, I am like a Bruno Mars, Black Eyed Peas, put the music on loud. It gets my energy up and it gets me ready for the day. For you, it might be, I want classical music. I need something quiet. I might need to meditate. But whatever this is, it's about getting our mind right before we jump into our lead generation. It could be affirmations. And I do put affirmations up on some of my sticky notes. The best person I know that does affirmations is an operations manager on a team, I think in Connecticut. She did a training that I went to once, and her affirmations, she recorded herself saying them on her phone, and she listens to them on her drive into work. And it's like 5 minutes. 5 minutes is a long time to listen to yourself tell yourself affirmations. But she plays them and she hears them, and it pumps her up and gets her mind in the right place before she steps into work. And what it for her it looks like and sounds like is I'm a I am great at my job. So I'm going to pretend she's a real estate agent, but she was an ops person. I'm a great real estate agent. People are really lucky to work with me. I serve people. I come from contribution. I look great today. I'm going to sound really good on the phone today. And then it goes over and over and over again. What are those affirmations? I am really great at lead generation. I love getting on the phone. I'm going to set an appointment today. I'm going to set 3 appointments today. So whatever it is that is going to be your motivation building time. Oh, and thank you, Kelvin. Les Brown, Mind Right Radio. That's a good one. I might take a peek at that one. But whatever it is that puts your mind right, what do you guys do anything right now for mindset? How do you get your mind in the right place to want to start lead generating? Feel free. Anybody, jump right in there.
I try to be positive.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Can I correct your language real quick, Elizabeth? I'm going to ask you to throw out the word try. Throw out the word try and use intend. My intention is to be positive. Okay.
So this
Here
is
we-
Elizabeth. I was gonna say
Oh.
something different. I think someone else came off mute at the same time.
Sorry.
I did.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, good.
Oh, but go ahead and finish that if I interrupted.
Oh no, just we want to get rid of the word try, right? Try is a noisy way of not doing it, so we want to always say that we're intentional. We're intending. Let's be intentional. So I intend to, not try to. That's all. So we spend a lot of time talking to ourselves all day, so we got to be really positive with our mindset and our language internally. That's all. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
So I have, I guess, kind of an interesting story. I was at an open house over the weekend doing it for someone in my office because I'm a brand new agent. I started at the end of July with Keller Williams. So I was at the open house. I was there both days this weekend, and I had like pretty much nobody show up on Saturday except for the listing agent's friend. And then Sunday, same thing. Nobody came, but I took the opportunity to do like a video tour of the house just for myself to kind of get some practice. I ended up posting it on social media and I didn't even like the post didn't even finish loading. And then somebody knocked on the door and I had my first showing. So it was all kind of, I don't know, like almost magical in a sense. And the woman came in, she was just driving by, decided to stop. She lived down the street. She's like, oh, I always wondered what these, looked like. It was a adult living community. So she said, I always wondered what these looked like. I saw the sign outside and I decided to stop in. So turns out she has a house that she needs to list and she's not working with a realtor. So it was all just like very cool. And I've been talking to her, every day since then. And yesterday she said to me, she was like, thank you so much. And I said, well, there's a reason we met over the weekend. And she goes, you know what? She said, my granddaughter's name is Elizabeth, and I had just left her birthday party. And then I came and met you and you're Elizabeth. So it was all like just super cool. So I just wanted to share that.
Good for you. That's fantastic. And you've been doing the follow up and the follow through by staying in touch with her.
Yes.
Right. So
Yep.
let us know when you have that listing agreement signed. It's always better to get everything signed and always push for the close. We are always closing. We're closing to get the appointment. We're closing to get paperwork signed. We're closing to add value, but there's so much power behind getting your paperwork signed. So go back to your, your market center, whoever helps you with that stuff. And I encourage you, if she's going to be listing her house, that you can be that person.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, Susan makes a great point. She might be excited about buying and selling. We want to make sure she's excited about buying and selling with you.
With me.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Because here's the thing, Elizabeth, if I go in after you, I'm going after that contract being signed.
Okay.
I don't mean like I don't, that's how I am. That's how other agents are. As soon as there's a sniff that she's going to be ready to transact, I'm going in. That's my mindset. That my mindset is that whatever I can get signed today is going to happen. And I will compete with other agents for that. Other agents in my market center, other agents outside of my market center, very professionally, of course. But this is a sales job and we should always be closing.
Okay.
So go do it. You can do it. I bet by Tim, I forget what we're coming back for. We're coming back for one more, but I'm going to remember if I see you on, I'm going to ask you if you got that contract signed.
We're back next Wednesday, the 22nd, Susan.
Okay. Oh,
Yep.
see?
Hey guys, real quick too, sort of a no-brainer for the whole company at 8 o'clock. He's now our vice president of learning. If you don't know who James Shaw is, you should. And every day at 8 o'clock, because he's on the East Coast, He does, if I dropped it in the chat, it's pivotshiftcall.com. If you go there and register, they will send a link that will go into your Google Calendar so you can click and join every day. The Pivot Shift Call link is going to pull you into Zoom. That will put you, honestly, he starts like a pre-show at like 7:35. Over 400 to 500 people are going to be in that room. A lot of great agents who are clearly dialed in, who are setting their intention for the day. At 8 o'clock, he goes to Facebook. He's a phenomenal talent. There's a wealth of talent in the room. There's a lot of people in the room that are obviously awake at that time, right? I would always recommend to you guys, make sure you get a script partner on the Eastern Seaboard. Clearly, if there's a maniac from Hawaii awake for 8 o'clock Eastern, they're awake.
That's
And that's a
good
person I
partner.
probably want to be in business with. So find somebody who will script with you and send you spam. We can get it here too, but it'd be cool to get it from Hawaii. Very expensive over there, which is mind boggling. So be in that room. If you have nothing else going on, I'm not telling you that you shouldn't be doing your own personal affirmations or meditation or prayer. But if at 8 o'clock, being in a room with a lot of intentional people from Keller Williams is where your face might want to be, I would check it out tomorrow morning. It's pivotshiftcall.com. Find out if your market center does a market center huddle. And I think between James Shaw, your local market center huddle, and some script practice with a fellow agent, by 9 o'clock, you are set on fire to go take care of your people. And you've sort of hit that bucket of balls before you go play 18. If it gets to 9:30 and you're like, what are we doing today? And you're staring at your cat, you're probably making pancakes and watching The Price is Right. And that's time well spent, but that's not a legacy worth leaving. Okay. Said with love.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's what we want to start our day with, something that will motivate you, whether it's the affirmations or James Shaw, whatever it is that's going to get your mindset in the right place to do the fundamental piece of our job, which is the lead generation, right? So whatever we do to give us the best version of ourselves that can get us into the lead generation and the lead follow-up, that's what that motivation building time is for. And it's funny that they don't put scripting in here, so I would challenge you to put script practice in there somewhere, because it does matter. It does matter. And then, running the business or lunch, we do have to remember to eat. And it's funny to actually put it in there in your calendar, but we do need to refuel ourselves. We do need to take a mental break from the busy part of our morning. So put lunch in there, even if it's lunch with a friend or a networking lunch or something, so that you have that time in there to re-energize yourself.
Yeah,
But-
if you're infamous for being hangry, don't do it. Like, and it doesn't. Yeah, like you don't have to go get a side of beef, but like even if you're just purposeful, Gary talks about this all the time. Is building your bunker. If you know you're going to lock it down for the day and you're going to be in the office at the market center or even at your home office, because our short people and our partners and our spouses are a distraction too. If you know you need bottles of water and you need some granola bars and maybe a pickle jar to pee in, I don't know what's going on at your house. I'm not judging. I'm just saying, if you need a lock and load to defend your greatness. So if you go out in the hallway, you're going to get sniped. Somebody's gonna be like, oh my God, you see Game of Thrones? You're like, that ended 7 years ago. Why are we doing this? But they're going to pull you off track. So have the reinforcements, have the energy that if you need a snack to get you through the next 5 calls, then you can go to lunch. Don't get pulled off course. Be very purposeful about when you shut that door. You have everything you need.
Yep. And you'll notice that this first half of your day looks like the growing your business.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We do have to fit growing our business and running our business into our day. But, successful agents know that lead generation is the fundamental aspect of filling your pipeline to achieve your goals. That's what successful agents do. They know that lead generation is fundamental. That's why it's first. It's not there by accident. If you put that at the end of your day, I guarantee you it will get kicked to the curb more often than it will actual stick and get done. So we do what we know successful agents do every day. So we lead generate first. And then after lunch, you can do some running of your business, which would be, marketing seller listings and showing buyers houses, negotiating contracts, attend trainings, the vendor management piece, educating yourself on compliance and risk management. If you don't have a business to actually be running, your lead, you might jump back into some lead generation until you have more of the negotiation contracts to negotiate and stuff like that. And that's okay. It should look like that. I think when you're starting out, you will have a bigger shift on lead generation because you need to do more of it to get some business into your pipeline. And, we end our day with reviewing the calendar for tomorrow. What does our day look like? Did we do everything? Do I need to stay and do more time to do lead generation if I haven't gotten my appointment? In the beginning phases of your career, you do spend more time on that because you know, he who gets the most appointments wins. If you want to get to being successful and having closings every single month faster, you do that by doing more lead generation. Will you get there by doing an 8 to 5 or doing, one appointment a week? You will. You'll get there faster by doubling down. So be on purpose. The reason we have the calendar is that when you're doing lead generation, you're just doing lead generation. You're not going on Facebook. You're not going on Instagram. You're not checking your email. Shut those distractions off. Turn the notifications off of your phone. Because if you're lead generating on purpose and your phone's going ping, 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 every time it pings and you look down, your mind gets taken off of whatever you're doing, like lead generating, and onto what is that notification. And I don't need to know if someone just Snapchatted me right now.
It's an important cat video, I assure you. Yes. You can
Right?
watch it later. Couple things, Susan. I dropped the link for James Shaw's Pivot Shift Ahead Facebook page in the chat. Also, Isabel Hernandez makes a great point. She talks about the fact that she, a lot of people on this call, I'm sure, have other jobs. If you are a dual career agent, which is what we call you, and we use that language at Keller Williams because the last thing I want you to tell me, yourself, another agent, or a civilian who could become a client is that you part-time. I'm using my masshole regionalism. I grew up in Chelmsford. I'm part-time, kid. I don't want to hear that. I'm about to spend $700,000 with you. I want you to be full-time when you're touching my money and my future, right? So just dual career agents. If that's the case, here's my recommendation. Susan can jump into whatever minutes you have to dedicate to your KW greatness. Just be purposeful. If you only have 30 minutes a day that you can talk to your humans about next, then use those 30 minutes purposefully and make some good phone calls and reach out to your sphere. That being said, don't forget, when you're having those conversations, like right now, and Susan talked about the fact that she used to be at Liberty Mutual. I say it wrong on purpose because it's fun. That there was nothing going on over there. If your current industry, there's nothing you could talk to a civilian about to build that business for yourself. If you're in employment somewhere else and you guys build widgets and your circle of friends don't really need widgets, the next time somebody asks you about work, they assume you're at Widget World and say, you know what? I'm glad you asked. I got my license. I'm with Keller Williams now. Who do you know that I should know? I'm going to move it right into the direction of growth for real estate. Because if you're waiting tables, they know that, or they don't know that, but you don't need somebody else to come in and get a 4 o'clock plate of fish sticks. That doesn't build your financial greatness. Having them know that you're here to serve their real estate needs builds your greatness. So again, if you are a dual career agent, whatever minutes you have every day to dedicate to those conversations, be purposeful about it. You can still build. Our good friend Nathan Fredette, Susan, who's still at Liberty Mutual. I feel like it's been 10 minutes, but he's been there for a while. He's got 3 kids now. So this is an older story, but it feels like yesterday. He paid for his wedding and his honeymoon with his real estate money. He's usually got at least one deal going on. And he's absolutely our most successful dual career agent at 463.
Yeah.
And he's just super purposeful about the time he spends away from Liberty and away from his wife and his kids. He's super purposeful with his KW time. And he's still building massive opportunity financially for his family through that. So there's a pathway for it. Connect with your coaches locally. If you got questions, we can help you with that, but don't think that you can't get there if you're dual career. You can.
Yeah. You might even, if you're dual career and your time is short and you're super on purpose about that 40 minutes that you spend lead generating, you might be more successful in that 40 minutes than somebody else is that
I was just gonna
blocks in
say.
3 hours
Yep.
because you don't have time to waste
What's Gary say? Time on task beats talent every time.
every
If you're
time.
purposeful about your 60 minutes a day, and the average agent who's full-time, and I'm using average loosely, the average agent who's full-time has, I got all day to lead gen. Guess when they get it done? They don't. They went
They
to lunch
do.
at 10:30 and they went straight home and took a nap,
Mhm.
right? Don't forget the 80-20 rule. There's 7,000 agents in the region of New England for Keller Williams. Only 20% of them are really doing the business. That is Pareto's law. It holds true in any industry.
Yep.
20% of the agents are doing 80% of the business. You want to be part of that 20%. If you do, act accordingly and you can start right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. And don't forget to schedule in your family time. You know, Keller Williams is a God family business company. And if you look at this calendar, your family shows up because they're important. We don't want our families to hate real estate because it's hard for them to support
That's our
you.
job. No, I'm just kidding.
Right? It's hard for them to support us if we never build them into our calendar.
Yep.
So when you are being on purpose with your family time, John and I put our phones away. It's harder for me than for him. I'm not going to lie. When we're home, his phone gets put up on the shelf and it stays there.
Yep.
Because if we're having dinner or we're pushing our kids on the swing and our phone's pinging and we're like, yep, hold on. Let me push you on the swing while I read this text message.
Yep.
That's not being on purpose, and they deserve better from us than that. Our relationships, when we talked about relationships with vendors and other people in a transaction, we also have to be mindful of our relationships with our family at home. Because the stronger base that we have there, the better that you're going to be in everything else. We are God family business for a reason, and let your family show up. They're important too.
Such a great point, Susan. When you guys pull into the driveway and you cross the threshold, are you in the house or are you home? Is it proximity or presence? Like, are you actually there? Because if you put in your calendar at 3:45 today, I'm going to my niece's soccer game, and you miss her score the goal, guess what? It's not on Sports Center tonight. You missed it because your head was in your phone. And there's no need for that.
Yeah.
If you're building a clientele that you want to work with, they should respect the fact that you're booked from 3:45 to 5:45. What are you doing? None of your business. Stupid. Don't say stupid out loud. It's an internal monologue, right? It's none of their business. Your family's in your calendar first, right? And honestly, if you have a client that knows your schedule and respects it, I want to work with them more.
Absolutely.
You came here to control your calendar and your checkbook. So we just need to behave in that way. And please don't miss a goal because your head was looking at a text from a client that you already hate. Watch the game. Fire the
Watch
client.
the game.
Right?
Watch the game. Every piece of your calendar should just be about being on purpose in that. And we are still running our business in here, even when we're getting started, because, you know, activities like lead generation, it's an instant. I'm picking up the phone. It's an instant thing, but skills develop over time. So the running of our business for you is going to look a little more weighted on, the training, because you don't have contracts to negotiate, but you have to learn your contracts. You have to be able to read them, internalize them, know them, be able to read them upside down, be able to explain what every single line means. Those skills develop over time. That's why we build them in. Okay. So take a peek at we're going to talk more about your calendars. So as we go through this and your next few days, whether it's a paper calendar, whether it's a digital calendar, whatever that looks like, spend time to actually write in what you're going to be doing. Okay. And we're going to keep on. How are we doing here for time? It's 10 o'clock, so we're going to take a bio break.
Sure.
Before we move on. So it's 10:04. Is 6 minutes long enough? 10. I'm going to come back at 10:10. We'll chat and wait for any stragglers that come on.
There's no objections. Everybody can go grab a drink and pee quickly.
Yeah.
It'll be great. It's gonna be
Okay.
great. Yeah. It's gonna be
All
great.
right. I'll see you guys shortly.
Yeah. I want to stay put. If anybody's got questions, comments, concerns, hopes, dreams, we're here.
Hi, is it Tim?
I hope so. Or I'm wearing the wrong pants, but I'm pretty sure it's Tim. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you go Tim or Timothy?
Uh, taster's choice, whatever you want to go with, it's fine.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, my older sisters, and I'm old, catch the gray. So my older sisters call me Timmy. I get it all. So whatever you want to, whatever works.
Yeah. Okay, all right. I was jogging my memory with the hat. So,
Yeah.
I just wanted to, there was kind of a point to that story. So
Sure.
that I talked about before.
Yeah.
But I definitely appreciate you guys like encouraging me to get something signed. So I have another call with her scheduled for Thursday, and that's when I was going to ask for all of that to be done. Do you
Yeah.
think that I'm waiting too long on that, or should I have like asked for it already?
It's a great question. Everybody has a different way of building rapport. My concern is the hesitation, and I always use the analogy. Here comes another one. The analogy of you walk in senior year and there's like this beautiful girl and you're going to ask her to prom, but I'll wait because prom's later. And then it gets to like Valentine's Day and she's already seen somebody, right? Like just I feel like you've got her in the mindset. The next logical step is for her to commit to working with you. So when and Susan was very direct, and it's so true, right? You'll hear this over and over again, and this is usually in relationship with the window of time in between going under contract and our financial, not our financial. I apologize. The inspection window, which I know we lit those on fire in the last 18 months. Nobody does inspections,
Right.
but usually while we're having inspections conducted, if you let that window of inspection time go too long, you'll hear the term that we always use is time kills deals. And because I've always recommended, and I think Susan might agree, back in the good old days when we did inspections, try to get them done in 10 days. A 14-day window for inspections to get done gives you the second weekend, and they run into their fat Uncle Tony, and he's going to talk them out of the sale. Like, you're getting screwed. Like, he's suddenly a genius because he watched so much HGTV, right? So if that takes place, you're leaving a vacuum for some interference. So no judgment on your window in which you're building rapport. I just feel as if, to Susan's point, if her next logical step is to move forward, you created rapport. You shared that story about she left Elizabeth's birthday party. She runs into you. It is absolute kismet. And you just double down on that. You know what, Stacy, I feel the same way. 5 copies, push hard, sign here. And I know we're digital now, so nobody's doing that. But you know what I mean? Like, just next logical step, not in a forced way, not to be smarmy or disingenuous. Like, I'm going to get you into this car and I'm going to get you to buy the clear coating. She clearly wants to buy that house or invest buying some house, and she's ready to list. And you guys serendipitously met. So let's get this done. So I just think when the time is right, you'll know. And at the same time, as you're getting started, you might feel like you're rushing things. You're not. Because to Dr. Kenyon's point, as soon as anybody else in the neighborhood knows that Stacy's thinking about listing her home to start the process of shopping for her next home, they're going to swoop in.
Yep.
Right.
Right.
All you're doing
Momentum is your
making her
friend.
fall in love with love, and somebody else is going to start dating her quickly if you're not careful.
Yeah, momentum is definitely your friend in real
Momentum.
estate.
All right, thank you.
You got it.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I was struggling a little bit, is knowing like what's pushing too hard and when to maybe build the relationship first. So I think that I probably could have asked the other day, but the call that we've scheduled Tuesday is to check in and try and schedule some showings for the weekend. So I thought that that would be the perfect time to be like, oh, hey, before we go see these, you know, it would be great if you would sign this because
You know,
A,
I'm gonna challenge you.
Yeah.
That's too late. That's too long, honey.
Yeah.
You gotta do it faster
Okay.
than that. And you know what people like? They like to be led.
Yep.
They want
Yeah.
you to be in charge.
right.
So if you can, if you can show them that you're in charge for this piece of it, they're gonna want to take your advice as you're going through shopping and everything. And
Yeah.
don't spend your time shopping with someone that won't sign with you. Your
Amen.
time
Right.
is so valuable. It's so
Okay.
valuable because
Yep.
when I'm coming up behind you, if she didn't sign with you, I will sign them from you. And I'm saying this with love because I
Yeah.
will do it. And I'm down there. There's another Susan Kenyon in your market.
Yep.
And I'm all about getting things signed.
We've already geofenced your neighborhood, Elizabeth. We're actually in your front yard right now. Yeah. Gary's working on the tech, baby. We're going to be there. We know who she is already. I already know her
You
favorite
got my
color.
IP
Yeah.
address.
Yeah.
Don't overthink it.
Don't
and,
overthink it.
and do not feel it because Susan's making a great point. If you're about to take somebody shopping, what you need to explain to them as you're putting the buyer's agency agreement in front of them, and every state is different. Don't forget, we're having a 6-state conversation today, kids. As you're putting the buyer's agency agreement in front of them, whatever that is in your state, and whatever commission seems to be normal. We talk about apples in public, so I'm going to use apples. If one of my buyer's agents was, or one of my agents was sitting down to sign a buyer, they're writing those 3 apples in, or whatever the number might be, because we need to do that ahead of time. Too many agents are filling in that number after they read the LMS specific to the house. And that's the wrong way to do it. So I can say, Elizabeth, the reason this number is here, it's my opportunity for you to employ me. And most agents are offering this as compensation. Without that number there, I can't legally ask for that. And Susan, I also can't really represent you because, and I'm going to use New Hampshire as an example. We have the brokerage disclosure that explains their rights as a consumer and their rights as a client, and what I can do for them as a consumer, what I can do for a client. Right now, I can answer you in a sentence. I'd love to be able to answer you in a paragraph. And if there's
Right.
ever any pushback, and you'll get into these conversations with certain personalities, that they feel like, wow, you're really worried about this paperwork. Well, Elizabeth, I hope you understand that the way I'm making sure that my paperwork is set up and I'm defending my greatness is the same way I'm going to fight for your family when I'm negotiating on your behalf. Does that sound good? Awesome. Sign here. Right?
Yeah.
Because the way we just said it at the top of this class, the way you behave in here is the way you behave everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm letting you know how I'm being nice to you right now, Elizabeth. Right? Oh, I want to be a nice salesperson. No, you want to be a shark, because sharks swim well in tough waters. And that's what we're in right now.
Yeah.
I want somebody out there fighting for my family and their future and negotiating and knowing how to defend themselves and their greatness. And if you can do that for you and your paperwork and your commission, you're going to be doing that for my family. Because you really legally shouldn't be representing somebody and writing up a contract, counterintuitively writing a contract up and making an offer on their behalf without your buyer's agency agreement already in the till.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And so when we talked on that last screen about your schedule and building it, that motivation building time,
Mhm.
that, another way to think of that is your mindset time. So it's getting our mind right before we're talking to people. So your mind should be, I need to have my paperwork done. I need to have this loyalty agreement signed before I take them shopping. And that's going to be a breeze. And a lot of times the objections that we're building up are in our head. It's not in their head. And I'll tell you a quick true story that happened just this year. John was at my husband was at a listing appointment with an agent on our team. And we work with investors. We have they were sitting down with the lady that owned 2 buildings. They were there for 2 buildings that she wanted to sell, 2 multifamilies. And he had gone over the presentation with the agent on our team. That was easy. They had practiced it. They had all the paperwork. We always go with paperwork ready for a signature.
How
And
dare you? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
and we always assume the sale.
Hmm.
And he kept talking. And this was what the lady looked like. Her name was Stacy. That sounds good. Yeah,
She was
that
ready.
sounds good. Sign the contract.
Yep.
He kept going on answering objections that she never had.
Yep.
So the objections were in his head.
Hmm.
So John stepped in and said, it's not what I'm hearing you say is that you're ready to sign some contracts, right?
Hmm.
Yep, I'm ready.
Yeah.
You let all the other stuff go. The objections can be in our own heads. So we have to work on our mindset sometimes just to be a better listener, land the plane when they're ready to sign.
Yeah.
And then she ended up signing a third multifamily. So doing paperwork, I think it's such a great opportunity for you guys to go out there and be better than every other agent out there, because too many agents fear the paperwork. But the paperwork does something. It anchors that loyalty with the stroke of the pen, which is so much more powerful when you're in person. So if we can be doing it in person, do it, man. It really does anchor the loyalty piece of that agreement. And that's what I call it with a buyer. This is a loyalty agreement. It sounds like we really want to work together. Is that right, Elizabeth? Yes. Great. Then let's do some paperwork so that we can make that official and I can better represent you. This is what we call a buyer agency agreement. Blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
Land the plane, get the contract signed before somebody else can.
Okay.
I know you
that-
can do it.
Yep, that really helps. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Susan,
Sorry.
real quick before we jump back in, Heather Austin dropped in the chat. Are there any KW resources for agents who are introverts? Sorry. Because I'm a high I, so like that's not my language, but I hear where you're coming from. So stay with me. She said she took the Quiet Success class and was wondering if there's other resources. So Heather, I'm going to throw this out for you. Connect with your productivity coach in your market center. Absent that, I'm happy to have a conversation with you. I'll throw this information into the chat, but if you have a sharp crayon, I'll give you my number and stuff. 603-834-2856 is my cell. T Lindsay, TLINDSEY @kw.com is the email. If you guys have a local productivity coach or any leadership member who could help you with your DISC and your KPA, more importantly, your DISC. And now, obviously, you've already identified yourself as an introvert. But we use these tools to really understand what corner of the sandbox you play in best. And I think you probably heard how I'm guessing, Heather, off the top of my head, if you find yourself to be more of an introvert, you're probably more excited about pie charts and bar graphs. You're really excited about doing like a monthly newsletter. I'm going to send this out to the humans and then they'll call me and I don't have to call them. I appreciate that. We do want to get that going for you because that's going to be a strength for you. And at the same time, I'm also going to ask you to actually engage in conversation with the other humans. But we can find your corner of the universe that you're going to play in best. And I'm happy to have that conversation with anybody. But again, any of the resources we talk about today or anytime during the sessions, if you're looking for your market center technical trainer, you're looking for your productivity coach, please reach out to your leadership to find that person if you're just landed and you don't know who that individual is yet. And absent of that, I'm happy to have a conversation with anybody. So I'll put my info in the chat. Sorry about that, Susan.
No, that's awesome. And that's I'm very passionate about paperwork. It's important that we get our paperwork correct and that we get it signed. And that's the aspect of production that I'm coming at you with. If you want to be in production, you got to get good at that stuff, the paperwork side, and closing the paperwork. So did you guys do the 411 yesterday? Setting goals? If you haven't, you will be going over that with your coaches. But it's a living document on setting your annual goals, your monthly goals, and your weekly goals. And so you may need to adjust your goals over time, right? So right now we need to be having appointments. Oh, that's my alarm, which we just took a break, so we're good. So you're going to talk more about that as you go through. I think there might even be, is there a whole session on setting goals here in Ignite? I forget. But our goal right now is to set the 2 appointments. And by doing that, we backtrack that right to the lead gen. And so if our annual goal is financial, then you'll work with your productivity coach to back that down to your weekly goals and what you need to be doing for number of calls, number of appointments set, number of contracts signed. There's something so powerful about getting your contract signed. It's going to feel so good, guys, when you do that. But you have to know from the beginning then, what does your lead generation look like? And that might look different for a lot of us. Like some people might be doing expireds. And if you love expireds, John built the beginning of his business off of expireds. There's still expireds out there. Look, expireds up from a year or two ago. Those people might not have sold. They might have pulled their house off the market, gotten busy with COVID or whatever, or life, but they had a need and a want to sell at that time. That doesn't always go away. So just call and get into relationship with them. For sale by owners. It's a little bit tougher, I think, in this market for sale by owners, but it's not impossible because guess what? It is really hard to keep a deal together right now. It is painful showing property, and you hone in on those pain points for sale by owners. Cold calling. You know the beauty of cold calling? You don't know the other person on the other end of the phone. They don't know you. You don't even know what they look like. Who cares if they hang up on you? Just go on to the next one. Turn over the next rock. Every no gets you closer to a yes. Sometimes cold calling is a great way to warm up, right? To practice maybe some new conversations that you've been practicing with your script partner. If you are cold calling, we'll talk about it at the end of today's session. We do have to be very mindful of the do not call list. Huge fines for that. Your script for calling someone that says they're on the do not call list is, I'm sorry. Let me take you off my
Goodbye. Yeah,
list. I
goodbye.
hope you have a great day. See you later. Bye. You know, that happens. You just have to apologize and get off the phone and take them off your list. But
If you hear in any classes that we're talking about the TCPA, it's the Telephone Consumer Protection Act. Per violation. So you could have a really bad day and have 7 people report you. Per violation, it's 42,000. You'll hear a lot of people throw that away and be like, oh, it's usually a class action suit. You'll be sued for $3,000, $400. I don't want to find out the wrong way. And I can tell you, if somebody at our market center does it, Nathan Dickey's not showing up with his checkbook. It's all on you. It's $42,000 per violation. And to Susan's point, when somebody starts to say they're on the do not call list and you checked and they're not on the do not call list, this is not the time for a verbal arm wrestling match. Hang up and run away. I'm sorry, Mr. Miller. I apologize. I'll update my notes. Have a great afternoon. Goodbye. We're not trying to be like, no, I checked. You're not. That was your cell phone back in 1982. Hang up the phone.
Yep. And then go on to the next call. Like we don't, the thing about lead generating, and if you are going to be doing the cold calling or the expireds or the FISBOs, you just quickly move on to the next one because every no gets you closer to a yes. And that's a script I use with my buyers right now, right? Because they're getting told no on houses. They're putting in offers that aren't getting accepted. I'm like, guys, every no gets us closer to a yes. We're getting there, right? Your sphere, lead generation might look like your sphere. It could look like a mixture of picking up the phone. And it's okay if it's Facebook messaging, if you're on purpose about a two-way conversation about real estate. And if we trick ourselves into saying, I did all this time lead generating and I had all these conversations, but you're not getting appointments. The goal is the appointment. Then you're never going to get to a contract sign. So when you're sitting down to lead generate, have the goal in mind. I need an appointment. So I'm talking a two-way conversation through Messenger, through text, by picking up the phone. And it's going to be a two-way conversation about real estate. And I'm looking for appointments. I'm looking for people to help. That's a great affirmation. I'm going to help a lot of people today. I'm going to impact families today. I'm going to help a family. I'm going to find a new family to help today. I'm going to find 4 new families to help today. Okay. And then be on purpose about that's your goal. Okay. So commit to the 80-20 principle. So the Pareto principle, or the 80-20-20 principle, it is impactful and it is true. It can help prioritize and focus on what's important, right? When our actions are not focused on the 20%, well, I should back up. It's the Italian economist discovered that 20% of our activities yield 80% of our results, which is typical in almost anything in life, right? The 80-20. When our activities are not focused on the 20%, we don't get the results we want. The 80-20 principle may be counterintuitive, but it works. So we really have to focus on our activities, because 20% of our effort will yield 80% of our results. So that's the whole being on purpose part, right? So there's that analogy of big rocks and small rocks. Stephen Covey came up with this, and it's you can only fit, if you have a bucket, you can only fit so much in a bucket, but how we fill our bucket matters. If we start by filling the bucket with sand, we won't have room for the big rocks. So can anyone guess what your big rock is? What's your biggest rock?
Lead generation.
Yeah, absolutely. It's every single day. It's lead generation is your big rock, right? But if you fill your bucket with sand, you don't have room for the big rocks or gravel. But if we start with the big rocks first, then we can add the gravel and the sand, and it will fill the space that's left over. So the sand and the gravel could be making up your marketing flyers, right? We'll fit that in after. But our 20% yields, our 20% of effort yields 80% of our results. So if our 20% is all marketing and all creating pamphlets and folders, your 80% of results is going to be no money. If your big rocks are your 20%, meaning lead generation and what we're doing to grow our business, then 80% of results will be more money. We'll make more money. We'll have more time with our families. We will be more organized. We'll be able to help more people. So the 80-20 principle helps us to focus on what's important. 20% of our activities yield 80% of our results.
And we're going to dispel a myth for you guys later on. At some point, we'll get to it today. I know the number one answer on the board, if Steve Harvey was here, would be, I'm better off face-to-face, Timmy. I don't like using the phone. And there's some math that supports face-to-face. And phone is the next best thing because of the conversation. And we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yep. You know, this is even, if you are a visual person, I'm a visual person. And if printing this out and sticking this up helps you to not get distracted from your 20%, then do that, because this is simple. It seems pretty simple.
People struggle with it, Susan, because it's counterintuitive. The math doesn't make sense.
The math doesn't
Like, how
make
could
sense.
20% of my day support my life? And here's what you need to remember. If you guys got hyper savvy at lead generation, could you in 2021 do that from anywhere? Say yes, right?
Yep.
You could sit in Aruba and make phone calls. Well, how are you going to get to the appointment in Kansas, Timmy? I'm not. I've got a team in Kansas that's going to go to the appointment. If you're teeing up kitchen tables, you can do that from anywhere on planet Earth. And apparently, according to Elon Musk, now Mars, right? Wherever you want.
Yep.
You can be in charge of everything. If you get really good at lead generation, everything else will take care of itself.
Absolutely. And so it could be, those big rocks, calling your sphere, calling your database, hosting open houses, door knock, talk to people about real estate, ask for the appointment, get the contract signed.
Say that again.
Get the contract signed. I know people in my office get tired of hearing me
It
say
seems so professional and so rude. It's important.
that. Right?
How are you going to sell me a house? With my feelings? That's not going to work. It's not going to
It's
hold
not
up
gonna
in
work.
court. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Nate might question you on that one.
Yeah. Yep. And that those big rocks, when you master them, they're fun. And some people's big rocks look different, like meaning some people's lead generation sources look different. Some people are better at different components of it. I'm not a door knocker. I'm never going to be a door knocker. But I can pick up the phone and call and talk to somebody. So it depends, try some things out and then see what works best for you. But remember that what works best for you is what actually yields the appointment and the contract signed, not what necessarily feels the most comfortable for you.
The last time I went door knocking, Susan, I believe it was the summer of 14. I got bit by a dog in Durham that was the size of a cat. So
Is that a true story?
I asked Jennifer Vashon, she was loving it. Because I'm in a
my
pair of
gosh.
bucks trying to walk up this wet front yard. I fell, the dog, huge dog, size of a cat, I'm joking, nipping at me. I'm screaming, it's okay. Like I'm telling myself it's okay. Like I was my own psychotherapist in the moment, I ended up at Wentworth Douglas. No stitches.
Which is a hospital up here.
The only thing
Yeah.
that got hurt were my feelings, but that's okay. Yeah, it made the news. It didn't make the news. It made our
Yeah.
Facebook page.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that is so funny.
Yep.
What are you guys doing for your big rocks? For your lead generation? What's working for you guys? Anybody have something?
Might be easier to ask what's not working. But what is working? Honestly, what have you guys delved into? Or what are your concerns? What's holding you back from opening your park?
Well, what I have been trying to do is making more conversation with people, friends, and people that I just met over the weekend. So that's what I've been trying to do. It.
Awesome. I'm going to just jump on Tim's and we're not going to use the word try. So you are
Yes.
doing that. If you are
Yes.
having those conversations, good for you, Lourdes. You are doing it.
Right.
Having the
I actually
conversation.
already have a buyer
Yay.
that is looking for a mobile home. It's a new thing for me. So I'm just trying because her price range is different for what is out there. So I'm just trying to listen to you guys and try to text message her.
Awesome. Awesome. And get with your lender if you're working with somebody on a mobile home, because every state has different rules on mobile homes, but make sure that your lender is on board when you're shopping with somebody when you're shopping with anybody,
Yeah.
and AA when you're shopping for a mobile home, because there's a lot of nuances there.
Okay,
Also,
thank
too,
you.
if you guys do run into an opportunity with a mobile home and you aren't currently, and I feel like maybe nobody on this call might be yet, if you aren't currently the mobile home expert in your marketplace, find out who in your market center rocks and rolls with mobile homes, because you can get the referral. Not that you can't do one. Like Nathan Dickey had me do one. It was almost like getting a tattoo. Like, I want you to do a mobile home. I'm like, okay. And it was, I wasn't the expert. So we have Sally Stewart in our market center that I would send all of them to. So if you feel like you need some help, even if you want to do it, finding the expert in that vertical and bringing them along for the ride so your client feels served at the highest level might be the right move. Just a thought.
Yep,
Rosa,
absolutely.
¿cómo estás?
Yep.
Wow, ok. Cuando tenga tiempo, llama al señor Palacio.
Oh, hey, Isabel.
A ver
Exactly.
si te va a llamar. Okay.
So figure out what your big rocks are. It really will be impactful if you do those. And when do we do our big rocks? If you can, if you're not working at another job, we do them in the morning. If your big rock or your lead generation is something that is more successful at night, then do it at night. Just be on purpose about putting that in your calendar. And if that's normally your family time, then you have to, you don't erase unless you replace. So if you're going to erase your family time, you need to replace that someplace else in your calendar. Okay. And this is a great one. Setting your objectives. And, we're going to start with being identifiable. That means specific. Identifiable. What is your goal? Is it clearly defined? So if we're talking about lead generation, because we're going to do that every day, what is our objective with your lead gen? What is your goal? Is it an appointment today and two appointments this week? Is it right now for you? It is setting the appointment. So when we set objectives, when you are setting objectives right now, your goal is 2 appointments. So that's identifiable and it's very specific, right? And so we're going to translate these weekly goals too into daily objectives. Like maybe you're starting before the appointment. Like how many contacts am I making today, right? The 10 contacts daily. 10 contacts, meaning conversations with somebody, two-way contact about real estate. Shanice said is lead generating usually better in the morning times? I am going to say yes, unless for some reason you're doing something that is really just conducive to doing it at night. And the reason I think morning is because you can't let it go. Like you can't let it slide off and slip into the next day because it's that important. We do the most important things first.
Well, a couple things there, Susan, too. If anybody spent any time reading Gary's The One Thing, in the book, it's all about energy, right? So in the morning, we've got air in our sails. The universe hasn't kicked us in the face yet. And usually the people we're going to engage with are in the same mindset. So the energy level in the morning is just better. Our intention is better. Life hasn't gotten in the way yet. So if that works for you, fine. And I can tell you the national sweet spots, 8 and 10 a.m. and 4 and 6 p.m. And here's why. People are driving in. They haven't got to work yet. Maybe they're dreading going to work because they don't love what they do like you guys do. Smile, everybody. Smile. We're watching. And between 4 and 6, if I'm at Liberty Mutual, and Susan can appreciate this because the campus in Dover, New Hampshire I think they're building ships and aliens in there. It's a massive campus. If I worked there, I would grab a schematic and just walk around the building all day and be, have you seen Bob? Where's Bob? Like you get lost there. So at a big office space, if I called Melissa Cody and said, hey, Melissa, how's it going? It's Timmy. I'm sorry. It's been a while since we caught up. Like she's going to grab her phone, start to pack her bag. Like, it's my mom. I got to go. Like she's looking for a reason to leave the building. Right. So if I catch them between 4 and 6, people are leaving work, might be willing to engage and certainly willing to engage if you're a Met. I'm not taking a call that says might be spam. But if Rich Miller calls me, like, cool, it's Rich. Here's my reason to walk out of the building or to kill the last half of my day. Right. Talking to Rich. So we know 8 to 10, 4 to 6 are the sweet spots. Gary would tell you to do it before lunch because usually your energy level is there. Again, as somebody said, if you're a dual career agent and you're leaving, stepping away from like medical and everybody you knew in the nursing station is working from 3 to 11 on the overnight, you're not calling them at 12, they're asleep, right? So if you're calling a certain patch of people in your life and you know what their schedule is, be respectful of that. But obviously just got to make it work for you. There's no right or wrong. There is a wrong. Not doing it is wrong. But there's a million right ways to do it. You got to find out what's going to work for your schedule and the people you're pouring into. Are they going to be attentive? Is it the right time for them? Because this is not about us. It's about them. The whole conversation is about them. And if they have warm blood in their veins, they're going to reciprocate with, how are you, Rich? How's your family? How's work for you? And as soon as they open that door, we're going to toss the flashbang in and take over the conversation politely and ask for help, not the sale, for help. It's really that simple. We love to make it like it's rocket science. It's brain surgery. It's not.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be complicated.
It's communicating with other humans.
Yeah.
And you're going to find your lane, but you'll never find your lane if you don't get in the car and get on the road, ever.
Yeah. And hey, guys, you can make your appointments fun, especially if you're starting with your sphere. And even if you're not, take them out for a beer or a glass of wine or a cup of coffee. People
I'm available
love that.
for a cocktini. If anybody's looking to go out, I'm available.
Seriously, right? And I've had great luck with just taking somebody out for a beer and having a conversation because their guards are down. We're building rapport.
Yeah,
So
we're
this
not
is
signing
slightly-
paperwork with alcohol on the table. Please, let's make sure all 6 states, nobody's having a cocktail and a contract. That is not a mix. That's not a mix. We are
No.
sober when we're signing paperwork. Yes, cuidado.
I'm slightly off topic here, but I just wanted to ask about write-offs. Essentially, it's a part of, I guess, real estate and becoming an independent contractor that I am very nervous about. And do you have any recommendations? Probably.
Yes, my
Yeah,
rec.
Please
And
tell me
this
all
is-
of them.
This is a script that you're going to use with your people when they're signing your agency agreements, that I'm a licensed real estate agent, but I'm happy to point you in the direction of an accountant because that's a great question.
Okay.
Okay. So yes, you want to keep track of your expenses, which go to that financial session towards the end of Ignite. I keep track of all my expenses. And then I let my accountant do the other heavy lifting. So there are rules and regulations on how much you can spend, how much you can't spend, what you can write off, what you can't write off. Let them guide you with that. And then the other piece of that, like I know that there's dollar amounts that you can write off for gifts and stuff like that.
Okay.
Spend the money anyway. If you can't write it off and you're building relationships, it's an investment in your business. I don't know that we're going to get too into it today, but I do a lot of repeat and referral business, and I gift the heck out of people. I do. I have a stack in my desk of gift cards.
If anybody's keeping score, I've never gotten a gift, but that's okay. Keep going, Susan, by all means. Yeah. Hate to interrupt. I'm just kidding.
Noted.
Noted. I'm giftless over here in Portsmouth.
Oh, that is so bad. But somebody does something for you, like somebody gives you the name of someone to call, then you send them a thank you gift card for referring. Even if that referral stinks and they don't do any business, they referred you. They're now a multiplier. And we look for multipliers when we're lead generating. We're looking for people that will multiply our business. We look for people that are organic, natural connectors that like to connect you people with other people. Like who in your life do you know is looking to buy, sell, or real estate? Who at your job right now? If you are talking to somebody that works at a hospital or a bigger company, who at work today at Liberty Mutual that you know of is looking to move to the area or buy or sell? Be specific. Who of your friends right now, friends or family, might be talking about wanting to buy or sell that I could help? So yeah, great question on the write-offs, and I'm being a little sarcastic with shirking it off, but reach out to your accountant and they can help you with that. I just don't want to get myself into any trouble there.
Well, that's a great lesson for all of us to understand. This is about your allied resources, right? So, and I trust, like, unless it's absolute top of mind or it's commonplace and it's been a rule for 30 years, if Susan gets a question on October 2nd about lending, she's going to look at her watch and politely say, you know what, let's give Brad a call. Brad's our in-house lender here in Portsmouth. Let's give Brad a call because the rules are always changing. Like, we are not all things, but we have the connectivity to all of our allied resources that we can be the source of the source for our people. But we shouldn't be like, I'm not sure, but here's a great answer because my ego is getting in the way. Park your ego, find your expert, and get the best answer, the right answer, the legal answer for your people. So that's exactly what she just did. She's not an accountant, although she could be because she deals with John's paperwork. So I'm sure that's a pleasure come April 14th. Yeah.
It's really great. Yeah.
Take yourself out for a beer then.
Absolutely. And you know what? You be a connector. If you want to find, that's one way to also get business. When you're the person on Facebook that's always helping people find what they're looking for, when you're the connector, when someone says, I need a landscaper, and you're calling them, you're not just responding on Facebook, but you're texting and calling and saying, I know you were looking for a landscaper. You really should call my guy. When someone is saying they're looking for, gluten-free cupcakes, call them. You know what? There's a great bakery on 123 Main Street for gluten-free cupcakes. Oh, by the way, how's your family doing? What are you celebrating? Then go into the Ford script, right? Family, occupation, dreams, relationships, recreation. Then you build it into that. That's how you can.
You just
be
said fodder,
connected.
by the way, instead of Ford. But
I
it's
did.
fodder for our conversations. Whichever, it doesn't really matter. It's fine.
Have the conversation. Be the connector, because then when someone says, "Who knows a great real estate agent?" they're going to think of you. So we're finding different ways to be in front of people, reminding them that we're in real estate. So be identifiable with your goals. Be specific. Be metric driven. Measure it. What we measure, we can grow. If we don't measure it, we don't know how to grow it. Right? So metric driven. How will you measure your progress towards the attainment of the goal that you set? Put a number to it. it almost always comes down to math, guys,
Yep.
right? Put a number to it. Otherwise, you're just like having a good time talking to people. You
And when
need to
we
have
do
a
that
number to it.
CGI tool, Susan, that's where we start with whatever you want in the bank in the next 12 months. And we reverse engineer it to how many kitchen tables you need to get to. But that chunks it down. Because right now, if you walked into my office and you're like, I want to do 350 in the next year, for take home, and you just leave my office, I'm like, good luck. And you're like, okay, 350. I got to make 350. Where do I start? If we chunk it all down, and then per week how many people you need to talk to based on your conversion rates, it just makes it palatable and more attainable, right? And that's the next thing that we're going to get to. Like, that's a smart goal, right? Identifiable is specific. Be specific, metric driven or measurable, attainable, realistic, and time based. Because if you tell Susan and I right now, Timmy, it's going to be a great year, I'm going to do some things and make some money. Sounds a little loose and flowing, right? I'm going to help this many families, right? Always tie it back to families, not closings or transactions. I'm going to help this many families. And by doing so, based on my market center averages or whatever, I know that it will get me to this much money in the bank, this much opportunity for my family.
Yep.
The more specific we get, the more accountable we need to be, and the more resourceful we become. It's all about talent and tenacity and marrying those two things together.
Yeah. If it's not attainable, your goals should be challenging and they should have matched the allotted time that you have to complete them, but they should be attainable. So like if you say I want 100 listings versus a daily lead generation goal of how many appointments I need to set, then you're going to get there if your goals are attainable. Is 100 listings really attainable for you this year? All it's going to do is depress you that you're not making it.
Well, in your freshman year, it stands to reason that you don't have the people around you. You don't have it scaled out right now to do 100 listings by yourself. I mean, you could if you're not sleeping and you're just like snorting Fun Dip. That could be a possibility. Probably not a great idea, right?
Probably not a great idea.
When we break it down and we figure out what I can do by myself, even adding a VA or a transaction coordinator, it'll make more sense. And as you and I both know, Susan, we want to set our goals probably higher than we're comfortable with.
Yep.
Gary talks about the analogy of the hunter. If you're hunting, if anybody's a marksman or shoots a bow and arrow, which I don't, if you're doing that, if your target is way off, you're going to aim high because the drag on the arrow or the bullet is going to pull it back down, right? So I'd rather have you set a goal. If your mindset is I want to make 70 this year, I'd rather you set it for 100. And what if we screw up and we only make 90? Right? That's the mindset. Because it's not like there's a ticker outside your office like Lindsay's behind, he's not making enough money. Like you're going to do better than your friends anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
You're going to do better.
And you want them based on your skill set too. What your time availability is and what your skill set is, and then make it a stretch goal. Okay. And be purposeful, right? We want to be purposeful about it. Is this goal in alignment with your weekly, monthly, and annual goals? What I do each week and each month and each year professionally, such that I can fund my personal life, right? Because we want a life by design. So we need to be purposeful about that. So if my goal is that I want to go on 3 vacations next year, are my goals in line? Am I being on purpose right now with my goals so that I can do that, so that I can fund those vacations? And we want to be timely. When will this goal need to be accomplished? So commitment to a deadline helps you focus your efforts, and it will make urgent tasks more urgent. So if I have a goal of a number of closings or a number of appointments set, and then I have a time that I need it by this time, then I'm going to create some urgency around that so that my efforts are being even more focused. So and these are fluid, right? These can move. So if my goal is that I'm going to lead generate for 3 hours and I'm going to set 2 appointments, and at the end of hour 3, I only have 1 appointment, I got to keep going. I've got to realign the timeline piece of that.
Susan and John are amongst our top producers at 463. And if I saw them in the hallway, I ask any of our agents this: how far behind are you? Right. And they don't take offense because they know where I'm coming from. As soon as you start to track for your goal, you should be moving the bar up. As soon as you realize after the 4th of July, like, okay, we're ahead of schedule, we can help more families, move the bar up. Well, no, we're going to keep the number where it is. And from November on, we're taking the year off. Like, well, no, because you're going to stay in the system because on October 1st, I'm setting January 1st results. Right. So I'm always going to ask, how far behind are you, with love. And most of my agents understand that. Some of them are offended. Well, you've met me. Most of my agents are offended when I talk to them, but that's beside the point. Like the whole mindset is about, do you keep pushing that bar because you outdid yourself this year? Awesome. Like that's the mindset we should be in as Keller Williams agents. Are we creating a version of ourselves for tomorrow that will out hustle the version of myself from yesterday? We talk about the Michael Phelps picture all the time. And I always screw it up and say it's a Brazilian swimmer, but there's that classic picture of Michael Phelps. He's in the pool and the other swimmer from the other country, it's not Brazil, I forget, is watching him. And Michael Phelps is looking at the end of the pool. Winners focus on winning, losers focus on winners, or second place focuses on winners, right? Just focus on yourself, your goals, and your intention and the end of the pool, and it will come into play.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, by the way, this does not have to be complicated. It sounds like a lot, but we're doing what successful agents do every day. And this is simple. It's the same thing that they've been doing since they started. They're not changing it to be more complicated as they progress in their career because it's what successful agents do every day. And we still do this every day. And we've been at it for a while.
Yeah.
But when we start, and it is a mindset, you'll find yourself getting distracted and starting to complicate things. You have to rein yourself back in. And we have to do that too. We have to rein ourselves in. Like, do we really need that subscription? Nope. What we really need to do is call our database.
Yeah.
Call your database, build your database. Okay. So we haven't even talked about like your 10 conversations, your 10 contacts added to your database, your 10 handwritten notes. Those haven't gone away from the other sessions of Ignite. You still need to be doing those every day. And that's where you start building your objectives and your goals. You have productivity coaches. This is really a great thing to do with them. They can help you with these goals so that you are making things that are identifiable, things that are metric driven, things that are attainable. Do you have the right systems and tools in place to attain these? Are you using command? Are you building the command, which is the training part of running your business that you need to do every day? Learn how to use command. If that's what you're choosing to use as your database, you must learn how to use it. You must have a database, or you will not remember to follow up with people. You must add healthy contacts to your database every day. How are you doing it? That's the system and tool for growing your business. And that's who you call.
And here's the good news. It's not a huge number. If your camera's on right now, could you please raise your hand if you're still working on your first kitchen table? You're still working on getting your first listing. Raise your hand. If you're still working on getting your first listing. Awesome. So here's the good news. After you get to 1, we stop counting. I need you, Susan needs you to get to your family needs you to get to your first kitchen table, get them signed. After that, it's number next. They're all next after that. I'm getting to my next kitchen table. Ask Tom Brady. I hate quoting him now that he left us. I'm a woman scorned. Ask Tom Brady what his favorite Super Bowl is. He'll tell you the next one is his favorite Super Bowl, right? That's our mindset. You need to get to your first kitchen table. Everything after that is your next. Jeff Woods, the president of MAPS, of the One Thing, and as Gary teaches in the One Thing, if you look up in Merriam-Webster, there is a definition of a goal. But then ask yourself, what is the purpose of a goal? And the One Thing tells us the purpose of a goal is to help us remain appropriate in the moment, like Susan's been talking about. Like whatever you set your intention on for December 31st, what are you doing today to achieve that? Are you willing to sacrifice what you want now for what you want in the future? The purpose of a goal is to remain appropriate in the moment. And you guys are doing that right now by being here, for sure.
Yep. Absolutely. And Jennifer's asking the best way to learn command as a new agent. Most market centers have a tech trainer. I would start there. And also, open it up every day. There's a question mark icon on the top right. Click it. There's training on training modules on command within command. Marty Miller, YouTube,
Yep.
search for him on YouTube, and he has like very quick things that you can do every day to learn command. But start by opening it up every day and buzzing through the help tutorials that are there. And the Marty Miller thing on YouTube will help you out a lot.
And the region is doing market center tech training every Thursday. You'll see it coming from the region. There's usually a session every Thursday. And I'll also share with you, if you want to write down kwtechtube.com, kwtechtube.com. That's our market center's tech page. Our market center tech trainer, Robert Vincent, is phenomenal. And you can go and play in that space all you want. And back to Susan's original point, when you go in command, we're inviting you to break it. You can't. It's a big sandbox. Just go in there and kick stuff around. And if you do break it, that's sort of Gary's intention. This is going to be a beta/lab for the rest of forever. So as you encounter issues, bring them to your leadership. There's a little button in the corner where you can submit your concerns about command. It's always going to be in growth mode. So if you haven't gone to agent.kw.com, log in today. Get started. Open your park, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, one of our things that we're going to be doing to achieve these goals and to have our calendar is by time blocking, right? You're putting your big rocks in your calendar first. Let me just flip my page over here. Okay. Time blocking is simply dedicating specific periods of time to specific purposes or activities, right? So this has always been a challenge for me. I'm not the best time blocker, but I get better all the time. As the busier you get, you should be getting better at that. John's really a great time blocker. And my biggest mistake was that I just wouldn't even put up my calendar. So time block things in your calendar and then have it up so that you know what you're supposed to be doing at what times. If you have to set reminders for when you're transitioning from, your motivational time in the morning into lead gen, then set the reminder. But you've got to block out the time. Color coding might be a trick that you use, whatever those tricks are. We put in red something that you can't replace because there's other people in our office that can put things in our calendars if they need us or if they set an appointment for us. If it's in red, you can't put anything in there. We have spots in green scattered throughout every afternoon so that if somebody sees green, that means they can book us for that time. And that means I know I can book me for that time if it's in green. So figure out what your time blocks are. It's putting
Pink
in
is
the
for naps, right, Susan? Pink is for naps.
Yeah.
John's in a pink right now. I was also going to say the calendar that's currently on the screen, look at that, enjoy it, and you'll never see her again. She's gonna leave you pretty quickly because before lunch should at least be full of lead generation. And I'm gonna encourage you guys not to just put 9 to 11 lead gen. That's too gray. Like, what are you going to do on Mondays? What does Tuesdays look like? Because door knocking could be Thursday. Well, what if it's raining? Door knocking is Thursday. What if I don't feel like it? Door knocking is Thursday, right? We need to be consistent with what we're doing on a regular basis.
Yep.
And keep showing up.
Absolutely. And, you're putting your big things in there first. And something else to keep in mind is don't time block every second of the day because we need to also have time to think, to re-energize, to cry some days,
just every
some
once in a while.
days, because you just can't possibly time block every second of every day. You will be a very stressed out person and not be fun to be around. And because things come up, stuff happens, and you need some blank spaces in your day to also deal with that stuff.
Yeah, after lunch, making sure that you're leaving white space, Susan, for those appointments that come up, right?
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, I won't have an appointment. I'm not awesome yet. You're going to be awesome one day. And then the appointments start to show up and you're like, oh, I'm just going to take a nap. Then I guess I could meet you then. Like, we just got to leave white spaces. And especially as you become leaders and start to build your team, you want to leave white spaces so you can meet with your team as well. Right? Give yourself the availability for leadership.
Absolutely. Because if you're putting something in a time block, you're committing to it. So don't put something in there that you can't commit to. And be careful not to confuse time blocking with just indiscriminately filling up your calendar so that so that you look like you're busy doing all
Look
the
at all
stuff
the
that
pretty
you're supposed to
colors,
be doing.
Susan. Yeah, look at all the pretty
Right?
colors, right? I'm wicked busy. Are you? Are you sure?
Yep. Yeah. I'm so busy. Like I don't even have time to put anything else in my
Yeah,
calendar.
yeah. Thursday, I'm sorting my socks. I'm going to talk to my cat. Full day, full slate,
Yeah.
full slate.
Yep. And you got to put your family in there too. So John and I do that. Like if there is stuff like we just will put in family
Mhm,
time,
mhm.
and we don't erase unless we're replacing. So if I put it in my calendar, I put it in there for a reason. It must be important. And you know what, guys? It's okay to say no to some things. We have to learn how to do that because our days will get away from us, and our our calendar and our time blocking should be aligned with our goals. So if people are asking me for things and it's not aligned with my goals
Yeah.
and I don't have time to do it, I need to either leverage it out, give them another resource of how to solve that issue that they're trying to solve, or just say, no, I'm sorry, I don't have time this week. But I can look ahead and in 2 weeks I have time. Or you know what? If you call Cindy Lou down the street, she's really good at this and she might be able to help you. Maybe somebody's asking you to be on like a meal chain for somebody that needs some help. Go buy it. Go buy it already made and have someone deliver it. DoorDash that thing. Find a teenager that needs a few bucks that can go pick up a home cooked meal if that's what it is, whatever it is. And it is, Isabel, it is difficult to say no. It's difficult to say no, especially in real estate, because people will take all of your time. So we need to, part of our running our business and our training is learning how to work with buyers so that they don't suck the life out of you by going and wanting to see properties
Yeah.
when they haven't signed a buyer agency agreement. That will suck time out of you and they don't deserve it because you only have so much time on your calendar. So if someone's not going to be sign a loyalty agreement with you, they probably don't deserve that time block for you because there's somebody else. It's an opportunity cost, right? If you're going to go show property to somebody that will not sign a loyalty agreement with you, it's an opportunity cost. You're taking away from finding somebody that will sign a loyalty agreement with you because guess what? Whoever signs is most likely going to be the one that will contract with you.
Well, Susan, too, if you're married, your spouse or your partner, guess who gets the loyalty? They committed to the ultimate loyalty agreement. You owe them that first, right? And if we're saying yes to something in our business, invariably we might be saying no to something in our personal life.
Yep.
And I talk about this all the time. Steve Jobs, God bless him, God rest his soul, before he came back to Apple, when he did come back to Apple, he claims and will always say he's most proud of the things he said no to. When he returned to Apple, Apple was making toasters. And he's like, all right, everybody stop. Like, let's get it back to desktops, laptops. We're going to create this iPad thing that will confuse people. And we're going to work on these phones in 2007, eventually a watch. Other than that, everything else has to go. And they became focused on a few things at a high level as opposed to all things, right? So just making sure that you're really appreciative of what you are saying no to. And we want to put you in a position where you get to sit at the kitchen table and you're not hoping they'll sign it. You're deciding if you want to work with them. And don't take this out of context. I want to make sure you guys are in a position to be discriminating on who you work with insofar as choosing to work with people that are in alignment with your God, your family, and your business, right?
Mm-hmm.
That you're allowed to have time for your faith, your family, and business comes last. They'll feel like they're in first place, but they don't get to insert themselves into your calendar where you don't want them. There's a time and a place for our business that will serve the rest of our life. And I want to put you in a position where you get to sit at the kitchen table and decide if you're going to work with the Lindsays. And I trust by 12 o'clock today, you don't want to work with me, and I love you, but that's okay, right? In the grand scheme of things, you guys should choose who you're going to work with and get used to that language. Hey, Rich, should you and I choose to work together? Rich is thinking, well, wait a minute. Aren't you dying for me to sign a contract? No, because in 20 more minutes, I might dislike you. I might not want to be in business with you. You guys get to choose your clients. You're going to get to a place where you get to choose your clients. The faster we get you there, the better your life will be.
Yep, absolutely. And so you do want to put your family in there. If going to the gym is important to you, you put that in there. Okay. And then you fill in the spots around it. It's going to, when you do this exercise and then people do want to take time from you, but are not being loyal to you, it's easier for you to say no to them. Okay? So if you have to say no, it's okay. And I'm a
Yeah.
people pleaser, so that's really hard for me. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is creating accountability. Written goals. How are you being held accountable to them? Overextending yourself is an easy way to not be accountable because you have no time to
Sure.
actually do anything. And I'm a transparent person. This is the hardest thing for me. The hardest thing for me is to be held accountable because I can get defensive like that. Oh, well, I just didn't have time because I was really busy doing stuff that I didn't produce any business. Haha. That is me. I really have to work hard on that. And I do work hard on that because it's important to me. But we do have to create accountability. So let's jump in and talk about that. Be accountable. Accountability is an attitude and an approach. Accountability is a tool for achieving results. And it is dynamic cycle. It's not a static concept. So a lot of the things that we are talking about today are fluid, right? There's a lot of movement in a lot of this stuff. There's movement in setting goals. There's movement in our 411s. But accountability is a crucial part in achieving your goals. And Tim knows this because he's the productivity coach and he has to hold people accountable.
It's a pleasure. Yep.
I encourage you not to let this person be your spouse. That did not work well for me and my husband. If you're like us and your spouse is selling
Yeah.
houses, you got to build that in somewhere else. You have to learn to communicate with whoever you're holding, whoever's holding you accountable. Learning how to communicate with kindness is important when you're talking about accountability. Okay. So it starts with setting the goals. Are we setting the goals that are achievable, and are they SMART goals like we talked about? We need to be accountable to the activity. So we set these goals. Are we doing the activities that will achieve the goals? And for me, setting time to teach Ignite has to be in alignment with my goals.
I'm so glad you brought that up because you had to erase some stuff today and it's got to happen somewhere.
Yep. It's
3
3
hours
hours.
can't leave your map because
Yep.
that's not going to go well at Kenyon Industries.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So that was a conversation that, John and I had to have.
Yep.
Is this the right thing to do? Does it, I like to give back and I like to teach. So that feeds a part of me, which is important. But if I am erasing something out of my calendar to be here today, I have to replace that somewhere else. So are the activities that you're doing in alignment with your goals? And who's going to hold you accountable for that?
You make a phenomenal point too about just the interpersonal relationship between you and your I'll use the term accountability buddy, whether it's the person that you're scripting with in the morning, the person you're doing a 5 at 5 with in the afternoon, and we'll talk about what that means in a second. I think outside of the immediate relationship, if Susan is my team lead, obviously there's an accountability relationship there. And I'm on her team. I'm committed to the team's view. I think if you have a good friend in the market center or somebody really close to you, they'll let you off the hook.
Yeah.
I would find somebody in another market center on this call and another market center on James Shaw's call to be your accountability buddy. Because they don't owe you anything. They're going to give you the accountability you need outside of, oh, we were out late for drinks. She had 15 margaritas. I won't bother her. We'll script later. Later never comes. Later never comes. Right.
Yeah.
So find somebody who would truly hold you accountable.
Yeah. And, think about accountability as a process. It's difficult to maintain drive over a long term. Like when you're when you're just running like crazy all day, every day, it's hard to maintain that. But when you have to because you're filling your calendar with things that you maybe shouldn't be doing, but when you have to defend your activities to an objective observer, it becomes easier to stay focused. when whoever you're allowing to hold you accountable can look at your calendar and you're running so ragged because it's so full, and they can ask you, are these activities in alignment with your goals? They're just bringing you back to home base. Okay. It is like an athletic trainer. They hold you accountable to going to the gym,
Ugh.
to doing your squats, to doing whatever. I'm not a gym. I hate going to the gym.
Yeah, no.
And so here's what it looked like for me because I hate going to the gym.
Look at this, built by Starbucks over here, kids.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what did I do? I had a membership to Planet Fitness. And guess what? I went to the gym all the time. I didn't break a sweat most of the time.
Yeah.
You know?
You were there for pizza Wednesdays and bagel Tuesdays. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But so in my head, I met that goal because I went,
Sure.
but
Show up.
nothing was happening. Zero change here. So I had to join a kettlebell gym because they hold me accountable because it's a class.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't just sit on a bike or
Yeah.
walk on a treadmill while watching Grey's Anatomy.
I'm TikToking on the
nothing's
elliptical. Your legs
happening.
aren't moving, but I feel like I'm TikToking. You are TikToking.
Right? So I needed the accountability of gym classes where there's an instructor
Yeah.
saying, work harder,
Yeah.
work harder, do this, do these activities.
Yeah. Well, watching your
Right.
form too, you could your form at the gym could be the words you're using in your conversations, right? You could be using the script and never get to the ask.
Yeah.
Right. We always talk about that. Like if you're making the calls and having the conversations, but you're not getting the ball out of the infield, maybe we just need to adjust your batting stance and we'll hit one over the fence. You know,
Yep.
it's that same concept.
It is. It is. And and you also, until you're willing to have someone else hold you accountable, you can't hold someone else accountable. It's like a skill set that you have to have on both sides. Right? So if somebody asks you to be an accountability partner, you also have to be somebody that can be held accountable. And that's really important too.
Mm.
Okay.
It's 11:12. I'm just going to give you the heads up.
Oh.
If we're going to wrap in about an hour.
Okay. I'm going to start going faster here. Hold on. Let me back up. I don't know what I just did there. Okay. Does anybody have any questions on accountability? Rebecca is looking for an accountability partner. So you guys
She's
are
in Dover.
she's in Dover.
Dover.
Somebody jump on here and help her out. Who else wants to be held accountable? You guys are in a great position where you have people in front of you that are in the same position as you, and you can come up with these systems and accountability partners organically with each other, and you don't have to meet in person. You can set up a Zoom call. If you are local, you can meet with them in person, but somebody take down her contact information and be an accountability partner. And then, of course, we have Google and YouTube, so you can YouTube the heck out of ways to hold people accountable if you want to find a format that works best for you. Okay. So accountability looks like creating a plan, and accountability are like check-ins on your calendar. So when we are talking about your calendar and what that looks like, it does look like putting it on your calendar. So you want to start by sharing your goals. What are your long-term goals, your medium goals, and your short-term goals? Okay. And then you plan your check-ins. How often do you need to check in? And what method of communication are you going to use? Is it going to be a phone call? Is it going to be a Zoom call? Are you going to meet for coffee? If you're going to meet for coffee, you got to talk about the things that you're holding each other accountable for, though. You can't just give it to them all the time. It's like scripting. You want to throw some objectives in when you're scripting and then give them the win. For accountability, be kind. I know people that maybe for accountability partners, they might be like a little too hard.
Mm.
Remember to give people grace. And right now, people are stressed out. I mean, and we're agents, but we're people too. So between COVID and the economy and, things that are happening in the world, and it was just 9/11, and maybe we're not seeing faces as much as we need to see them. We need some grace when we're holding someone accountable. So set that up when you're making your when you're setting your accountability partner. What is that check-in going to look like? and then hold them accountable with kindness and motivation to do more the next time. And what changes do you have to encourage people to make to be accountable to their goals? Okay. When and where will you meet to check in? So your partner here is going to be pivotal in your business, and you're going to be pivotal in their business. And we're going to recap ahas. Remember that KWU studies what most successful agents do to build this material. Like they went out, they asked them, what did you do to be successful? What do you do? They hold each other accountable. Successful agents have accountability partners. They have coaches, they have trainers, and they also hold other people accountable. They might have people on their team. So this is what successful agents do. And can it be uncomfortable? Yes, but that's where growth occurs when we do things that are uncomfortable. Does anybody have any ahas that they might like to share on things that might have changed your way of thinking or make you feel differently about something that you were doing or wanting to do? Our goal to get today is for our time together is to help you to think and feel and act and use what you're learning in Ignite to ignite your passion and help you move your business forward, to help you move the needle forward. My aha today is that I need more accountability. I hope John's not here. Are you up there, John? Okay. I do. I need more accountability to my calendar. No one has an aha. Come on, one person.
For
Something.
me,
Gary's gonna fire
oh,
us. Oh, good. There we go. Excellent. Go ahead, Kirk.
just the talking about the calendar and blocking off times
Mhm.
and getting back into that is I'm excited about, and I think it'll help me a lot. And every week, just making sure I know exactly what I'm doing at any time. So I think that's a big aha for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, right. Because it kind of can help you figure out what you need to be doing, and you're not spending that mental time sitting down at a blank notebook or a screen going, I have no idea what to do right now.
Right. It's like not guessing what to do.
Yes. And then getting more specific about each one. So if you're putting lead generating into your calendar, when you are putting lead generating into your calendar, you can get specific on that. Write it right in your calendar. Lead generating, calling expireds, lead generating, reaching out to my sphere, lead generating, um,
Allied
calling,
resources.
yeah,
Yeah.
calling your
Yep.
allied resources. That will really make it easy to know what to do when you sit down.
You think about the one thing, honestly, guys, the whole premise of the one thing is what is the one thing that I could do that such by doing everything else becomes easier or unnecessary? If you lean into lead generation and start to book those appointments, all the other activities are forced into your life, in the greatest of ways. Like you don't have to worry about the rest of your schedule. You're going to be on appointments. You're going to have to learn your contracts. And yes, there's time to step away. Our market center does contracts on Wednesdays. Tomorrow we have Mass at 9, Maine at 10, New Hampshire at 11. Should your face be in those classes if you're licensed in those 3 states? Yes. At the same time, and I appreciate this as a coach, we talked about this, you can get lost in the curriculum, right? And there's knowing for knowing's sake, which is calling Susan at 10:30 on a Saturday night. Like, how do I write up a bias agreement? Like that's knowing for knowing's sake. And there's knowing for growing's sake. Are you in contracts class? So you know, when you get to that point, how to fill out the agreement. And again, if all of that gets lost on you, just know that you can raise your hand. Most of you probably have a market center. I trust that most of you are in a market center that's north of 100 agents. Everybody north of 100 agents, you've got at least 100 people that you can call. Our market center is 775. Right? Yep. Susan and I don't have all the answers, but I bet you somebody on my team does. Well, they're not on my team. They are. When you're stepping in to build your story, the story of the market center becomes your story until you create your chapter inside that book. Everybody on this call is playing inside Gary's sandbox. You've got all these resources. When I started, Nathan Dickey said to me, Hey, listen, we're making omelets. Go break some eggs, right? Like nobody's going to get hurt. Greatest quote ever. Matt Fedek, one of our great real estate agents with Keller Williams. I forget what part of the country he's from. In my freshman year, he came up and taught a class called Big Business. And his quote was, "It's real estate. No one's going to die." Right? Like it's never going to get there. Right. So we got to breathe, move forward, ask great questions, take great notes, have honest conversations. But we got to put ourselves in a position to be able to help somebody. We've got to open our park. And I think Kirk made a great point. Just be purposeful about 9 to 11. Start with 9 to 11. Well, shouldn't I be doing it more? Yes. Gary would tell you we should all be lead genning 26 hours a day. That math doesn't make sense. Of course it doesn't. It's Gary, right? But if yesterday was 0 minutes and 0 calls, wouldn't one call be great today? If you were listening to James Shaw, he's going to give you the numbers. He's going to say 321, 3 hours of lead gen, 20 conversations, 1 appointment. 3 hours to have 20 conversations. Well, if you're a high I, right, it depends. But the purpose every day, my job today is to find a person who requires my help in real estate, in anything, form relationships, help somebody move forward, and set an appointment, God willing, every day, at least once a week. If you're getting to a kitchen table once a week, Susan, I trust you probably have a pretty good career ahead of yourself, right? And
Absolutely.
John's probably putting together 2 or 3 pieces of businesses a week.
Yeah.
Is it about 2 or 3 kitchen tables a week?
Yeah.
And he's a tyrant on the phone. So become tyrannical about your schedule and guard 9 to 11 with your life and your greatness, and just have conversations with your people.
Yep. Hey, Svetlana. I see your hand up. Are you there, Svetlana?
Yeah, sorry, accident that happened.
Okay.
Oh, okay. No worries. I do like the point that you make of guarding your time, and we've talked about it, but it is very important. We don't allow interruptions. So even if there's an agent on my team here and I am working until 11 o'clock, I do give them the hand. And this is my tool.
Yeah.
It's my tool for a couple of reasons. When I'm wearing it, I know that I'm working.
And they know.
I'm like Pavlov's dog.
Yeah. And they know too. It's your do not disturb. Yeah.
It's my do not disturb. And sometimes I have this on when I'm not listening to anything and when I'm not on a call, because I don't want to be disturbed.
Yeah.
And they look at me and I'm like, and that's what it is. And that's been my thing, even when I worked at Liberty Mutual. If this was on, I didn't hear people talking around me or having conversations or, goofing off. It was like my way to focus. So for me, I've trained myself that this headset means I'm focused. So whatever tricks that you can do. So how will your behaviors be different going forward? What actions will you take going forward? This is a behavior for me, right? When we were talking about the daily things that you do, what are the behaviors that we're going to have that will change our life and our business? And I'm looking we had a slide on that. When we talked about people do not decide their futures, they decide their habits, and their habits decide their future. So what is your habit? And does someone have your hand up here? Elizabeth?
Emily McGuire.
Emily?
Yep.
Yeah. Hey guys. I just wanted to share something that I found kind of helps me in the morning, especially. So especially right now when, there's a lot of information being thrown at us and it can get a little stressful. So I found in the morning, even before I get out of bed, I'm just thinking about the day. And instead of thinking I have to do this, it's just a simple thing. Just switch have to get to.
Yeah, I love that,
I
Emily.
feel like it's a small thing to do, but it actually really changes your mindset. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you for sharing, because the words we use matter.
Yeah.
And get to and have to are 2 very different meanings. So I might hijack that one too, Emily. That is awesome.
Emily, there's a great book.
Please do.
There's a great book. His name is James Lawrence. It's called Iron Cowboy.
Iron Cowboy. Okay,
Iron Cowboy from James Lawrence. He basically set out to do 50 Ironmen in 50 states. And
Oh, wow.
along the journey, the parents of I think the kid had MS. The parents of this child with MS in like the Kansas area found out that he was doing this, and let him know that they were inspired and their son was inspired. And as his race angels who would build his course, because he was just doing this, building his own Ironman in every state, they tracked down the parents and said, "Hey, we'd love for you to meet us." And they really talked about it. He actually pulled him in a raft, pushed him in a race stroller, and then sidecarred him on a race bike and did the Ironman with this kid.
Wow.
And the
Wow.
thought
That's
process
amazing.
behind that was I had to realize that I don't have to do this. I get to do this. And he was able
Yep.
to bring him along for the ride. Right. So,
Yeah.
so
And it's contagious.
it's a great
Good.
point. Yeah. The changing your language gets us back to the loose and flowing math I'm going to throw at you about people talking about being better off face to face. Susan, we hear this all the time. I don't want to make calls. I'm better off face to face. Well, it's 2021. If you show up on somebody's front step, that's a little creepy these days. Agreed. Thank you. So I'm going to challenge you on this. The math on us being face to face makes sense. 7% of our effectiveness is the words we choose. 43% of our effectiveness is the tonality in which we say those words. And then the other 50% is our body language. So in the day and age of Zoom, and you might hate it, but we get to be in their living room digitally, should we choose to. They get to see how I'm moving. They get to hear the emotion in my voice, and they get to hear the words I'm choosing. So absent the front door step, I think getting on the phone extracts the body language from the conversation, but it's better than the written word. It's better than a text. Getting on the phone, they get to hear the words you're choosing and the tonality and the passion in your voice behind those words. They get to hear you caring on them. So stop telling me that you don't want to use the phone because you're better off face to face. You're not going to everybody's doorstep. You're not going to physically engage with them today. And the best thing we can do, the fastest way we can get into business, Susan, is to pick up the phone. You know, for lack of a better term, it's the human batting cage. So step in there and take a few swings and have some conversations, right?
It will move your relationship forward faster. And that is the name of the game. We are in the relationship business, and we're working on building rapport and trust and adding value. And the faster that we do that,
Mhm.
the faster we find the right people to have contract with.
Yep.
Right. Our hope here is that, this information will like pump you up and make you feel like I can do this with clarity, with confidence, because we know that you can. And we know that because this is what successful agents have been doing to build fantastic businesses, to live great lives, to impact a lot of people, to help a lot of people along the way, and to really represent your clients and their interest as best as possible and give them a good experience. The better that we do that, then the more repeat and referral business that we're going to get. And that is so rewarding when a past client will call you with a referral, or that you've stayed in touch with them, because we're adding people to our database and we continue to stay in touch with them. And then when they're ready to transact, you already know that they're going to be ready, right? Because a week ago, we talked about plotting people on the wave,
Mm.
right? I love
Yep.
that visual.
Yep.
Because as you're talking to people, you're plotting them on the wave, right? The top of the wave means they just bought or sold a house.
Yep.
So they're going to go down. And when they hit the bottom there, they're going to be hitting the rebound back up.
Yeah.
And there's going to be little slashes there. There's life events that happen in their life. Are we downsizing? Are we upsizing? Are we getting married? Are we getting divorced? Are we remote learning? What are
Having
we
our
doing?
9th kid. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Where are we? Where are we plotting them so that we're top of mind when they hit the top of that wave again and they're ready to transact again?
Susan, there are a couple of ahas in the chat. I'll read them for you.
Oh,
Shanice
good.
Smith says, my aha moment is I need to role play and script more in order to help me expand and grow as a realtor. Also, getting in the right mindset before beginning lead generation and being consistent with it, right? Anything you choose to do, if it's a newsletter, make sure it goes out every 29 and a half days if it's going to be monthly. If you're going to be making phone calls, make the phone calls every day. If you're door knocking, door knock every Thursday, not when you feel like it, right? Because the biggest pushback we get is, oh, I don't want them to think I'm canvassing for a certain political candidate. They'll never think that if you're in their neighborhood knocking on doors every Thursday. You become the mayor, right? You're running your own election. You need to get reelected every time they're transactional. Kevin and Christina Melendez commented and said, the aha is being busy versus being productive. It's so true, right? Are you in busyness or business? Right? Are you doing productive things? And some of these semantics our friends in other industries don't get. Well, I'm not busy today. I'm productive today. Well, what the hell does that mean? Show them, right? Show up for them and be the realtor of choice in their life. And dedicating themselves to others who love me, right? I know, and Susan can attest to this. John, for the most part, loves a good adversarial conversation. He loves the FISBOs, loves the expireds. And I trust every year when you guys close your books, Susan, you are more than 50% with your Mets. Even
Yes.
if you focus on the unmet conversations
Mhm.
and the cold calls, which I don't believe in, but we'll get to that later. If you feel like you want to call people that you don't know, it's going to be a longer path for you. And even if you're purposeful about doing that, when you close your books every 365 days, you will absolutely have more closed business with the people you know and love and trust. It just happens. It will
Yeah.
absolutely happen.
And for those people, they still need to be reminded that you're in real estate,
Mhm.
because otherwise you're going to log on to Facebook and one of your friends or family
Yeah.
is going to go, look at, we just bought a house.
Yeah.
Love our new house. We just closed. And you're going to be like, really? Why didn't they call me? Well, that's not a bad on them. That's a bad
They
on
didn't
you.
know because they didn't
Because they
know.
didn't know. They
Yeah.
forget. People
I'm the
forget.
best secret agent in my town, Susan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Those people definitely want to help you.
I didn't want to offend anybody, Susan. I didn't want to tell anybody I was in sales. I didn't want to tell anybody I was a realtor.
Yeah. Yep.
I think for me, it was very helpful that you mentioned creating boundaries and how important that can be, especially as a new realtor. And really, helping you, I don't know, manage your time better, and, what is the appropriate amount of time to spend on A, B, or C. And knowing for me that, overextending myself can lead to overwhelm. And when you're in a space where you're just processing all of this information, and like someone said before, everything is kind of being thrown at you, that can happen very easily. So it's really nice to hear you two speak of mental health, of family health, of your just own well-being in this business as you're building your own business and making it work for you and accommodating you and who you are and how you are in your lifestyle and whatever else, your family. So I just want to thank you for that. That hit really hard for me, and I appreciate it. Yeah, it's important. It's definitely important.
It is. Thank you for sharing that, Rebecca. I do appreciate that too. And it is important because your day will get away from you. People will take from you when you just should be saying no or leveraging out somewhere. And building
I
in
trust-
your mental health time and your family time is important.
Absolutely. And I trust Susan, like nobody sat at, and I keep picking on Biberty Mutual because it's fun. Nobody sat at their other corporate environment and said, you know what? I'm going to go work harder and make less. How do I get that done? Like nobody came here for that, right? We all came here to really own our calendar and to really build our checkbooks and build our financial greatness for our families. And we hear this all the time. I've heard this a lot in the last 19 months as a coach at our market center. To me, it's been really difficult to manage expectations of my clients. And I agree. It is more often very difficult when you're trying to manage expectations you never set in the first place. You're in charge of the transaction. They're in charge. Don't get me wrong, but you are their guide. You're their field guide for this experience. They don't do this every day. We do. So as we set expectations and create boundaries and let them understand when we're available, I'm not available before lunch, Mr. Lindsay. I'm busy looking for more listings. Now, our sellers want to hear that you're looking for more buyers. But correct me if I'm wrong. Most of the people that sell a house with you, are they moving into the woods or another home? They're moving into another home. So we want to make sure that we're always looking for listings to create the inventory for our industry and to create more buyers looking for more homes. The Kenyons have a lot of their clients every calendar year that are ultimately under their virtual umbrella, just exchanging keys and checks. And when you can build an ecosystem where your buyers coming in and your sellers coming in, and you're creating a lot of transactions in your own little world within the market center, that's where you win. That's where you really create leverage for yourself and your buyers and your sellers and your investors. So it's really tough to manage expectations of your clients when you never set them in the first place. So don't be afraid to set those. You are in charge of your world.
Yeah. And remember, the objection usually starts in your own head first. So when you think, oh, they're going to be upset if I tell them I can't talk to them on a Sunday morning because I go to church. That's an objection that you put on that.
Yeah.
You tell them that, I'm sorry, I'm not available on Sunday mornings. I take my family to church.
Yeah.
You're setting the expectation that they can't reach you. So if they are texting you, let them know I'm not going to be getting back to you, or I'm not looking. I don't really generally look at my texts after 8 o'clock at night, whatever that is. If you tell them that you're not going to be doing it, they're not expecting to hear from you. But if they're texting you and you haven't told them that, they're wondering why they haven't heard from you.
Yeah. If your Sabbath is Saturday or Sunday, whether you're celebrating at the temple or at the church, by all means, don't forget what most of our lobbies, it does here at 463, it says God, family, business. And whatever God means to you, if that's charity, if that's Oprah, if that's L. Ron Hubbard, whatever that looks like for you, they can't judge what you're doing with your family in the 68 hours between Friday and Monday.
Yep.
Like, don't let that happen. Like, this is about your life and your design. And your clients, if they're not going to play by your rules, they can find another park to go to. Like, just, you have to be that staunch. You have to make it, you have to stand for yourself and for your family and for your greatness, or you're going to become an employee again in somebody else's universe. And that's not why you're here. I trust that's not why you're here.
And when you're looking, what we love about Keller Williams is this a lot of training, but the training cycles back around again. So
yeah,
when you're setting your calendar and you have those time blocks in there for your lead generation and your lead follow-up and running your business, if there's training on the training calendar that you want to attend, don't overtrain. It will come back around again. You have to be choosy in that area too. Pick and choose what is going to impact you the most right now and do those, because that training will circle back again and you can do that the next time around. And it might be more appropriate for your business to hear some of that training later.
Yep. And even the training that you went to last year, you're like, oh, I already took that. Like, it was the red pill and the blue pill from, Morpheus. You're going to hear it differently. Next year, your interpersonal relationships, your business, your home life, everything's changed, and you'll hear that class differently, right? You can watch your favorite movie 50 times. And you're like, oh, I'd never noticed that before, because you're just in a different place in your life. You will hear things differently. You're ready to hear it, right? And is it Buddha that said, when the student is ready, the teacher appears, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I need you to not overthink it, overdo it.
Just, don't overthink it. Don't overthink it, because it's you'll spend too much time building it up in your head. So then we're going to talk about daily success habits, right? Because everything today has been about a day in the life of the agent. So building our daily success habits it's looking like building your database and script practice and lead generation and contract practice. And contract practice is an important part of that as well. So we're gonna jump in and talk about these things. But here's our favorite slide that we see every time in Ignite. The math does not lie, and the number is 10. 10 contacts a day, 10 conversations a day, 10 handwritten notes, and 10 home previews per week. Right? So contacts is garbage in, garbage out, or value in, value out. So when you're adding a contact to your database, it should be as complete as you can possibly make it. You need names and phone numbers and email addresses and physical addresses, relationship information, right? Are they married? Do they have a partner? Do they have children? Do they have pets? What's important about them? We should be putting these notes into our database when we're adding the contact, so that you know what to ask them about the next time you communicate with them. You should be putting notes in on what you spoke about when you had that conversation. So when you're making your calls, your database, and if that looks like command, which it probably should for most of you, you should have your command up while you're making your calls, so that you can put in the information from your call you think you're going to remember, but you won't. You're going to get too busy to remember. And then you're using that database to set your reminders for how are you going to communicate, and with what frequency are you going to communicate to that person next? So we're doing the wave, right? When we're asking
Yeah.
about life events and their life events are telling us that there's going to be a change, then our frequency is going to increase. It's going to be a shorter amount of time between when we contact them again. Maybe somebody just went under contract or just closed on a property. It's going to be a while before they transact again. We need to stay in touch with them, but maybe at a lesser frequency than the person that we know has a life event that's going to be causing them to make a change in their life.
To Susan's point too, like that first interaction where we're educating them, you can write that down, it's a real word, and we're letting them know that we're in real estate, that's a permission phone call. Like at that point, I'm getting Susan and John Kenyon, and it's Jon, and I want to make sure that's right, because if I ever send them a handwritten note, I don't want to send John. He immediately feels unheard and uncared for if I get his name wrong, right? So I want to make sure I have names spelled right. Susan at leavemealone.com, her phone number, 123 Maple Street. And Susan, I'm not going to send you anything. Although in the future, I'm just making sure my database is clean. In the future, if you and John need anything, or if there's anyone that you know that I can serve, please let me know. What do you mean by that, Tim? Well, we're looking for listings for our buyers for our listings, talent for our team. But I've earned the right to stay engaged with her. And I'm just going to circle back with another care call, another check-in. And the notes that I just put into my command, because Susan said it would be a good idea. Hey, Susan, last time we spoke, you and John were heading up to Winnipesaukee for a long weekend. How did that go? Oh, we never got up there. All the Airbnbs were jacked up. We couldn't find anything to rent. We're thinking about buying. Dun, dun, dun. Isn't it great you're on the phone, right? Or whatever the case may be. But we're not going to show up for those events magically. Like, I'm not going to call them every 3 to 6 years and hope I get the day right, like Powerball. I'm just going to keep showing up and let real estate be the background music and start to peel the onion and ask the questions and figure out how they define real estate success, whether it's buying, selling, investing. Just keep showing up.
Just keep
Not
showing
in a
up.
salesy way, in a care for them kind of way, and just be the resource for all things.
And you have to be on purpose about it. You can't hope that they're going to have a real estate need and pray that you're going to be there.
Yeah.
When
I
it
hope
happens,
they're
I mean, hope
transactional
and pray
today.
is
No
not a
whammies, no
strategy.
whammies, no whammies. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? That's why we add them to a database. So when it says 10 contacts added, it's 10 contacts added to your database so that you're capturing all of that other stuff. Because otherwise you are just having a hope and pray strategy. You're going to hope you're going to be there. They hope that they're going to pray that they pick you when they have a need. And if we're not on purpose about being there and reminding them all the time that we're in real estate, we're not going to be there at the right time, because people do business with people that they like, and the people that they remember are in the business.
And if you did the massive, like I took everything in my phone and did a CSV file and I uploaded it into Command, that's cool. But now you can go back into Command. You guys have all seen the health on your files, right? Stands to reason you've got cell phones. I've got Debbie Courtney. I've got 603, whatever her number is. And stop talking to me at leavemealone.com. I still don't have her physical address. I got to make sure that cell phone still works. I got to see if she got married or divorced. I'm not calling up to say, hey, did you get divorced yet? But I want to see what kind of life changes are going on. And I want to just make sure that my health score on all my people is nearing 100%. It's never going to be perfect. It's about progress. But that's the video game of what we're doing. We're just always, we're going to open our database, build it, feed it daily, and communicate with it, and then service the leads that come from the interactions.
Yep.
That's everything. That's
and
your
the
entire
handwritten
business.
note is powerful. So don't chimp out on the handwritten note. The handwritten note's very powerful. People love getting those. I, in general, don't have any mail that leaves my office in any type of stamped envelope. Every envelope, everything is handwritten, because people don't get them. And they like receiving stuff like that in the mail. So Christmas is coming. You can get full address information when you're talking to people. Let them know you're building your holiday card list. Get that information. And outside of that, handwritten notes are great. You have a great conversation. And Elizabeth, you're in a perfect position to do this with the lady who has a daughter named Elizabeth that you've been speaking with, because you've had such great conversations with her. That's a great time to send a handwritten note. Like, hey, it's been really great getting to know you. I look forward to us working together. Something as simple as that. Stalk Facebook for life events that are happening to your people, so that you can reach out to them with a handwritten note. Did someone get married? Did someone have a baby? Did someone lose somebody? Did someone's pet die? Did someone get a new pet? whatever it is that you were there and that you remembered and that you took the time out of your day to send a handwritten note will have a great impact. How do you ask for home addresses without sounding creepy? So that's an objection that you're putting in your own head.
Hmm.
Most people don't think that it's creepy that you ask. It's very simple. Hey Tim, I'm filling out my updating my information. It was great talking to you today. Where do you guys live again? I want to make sure I have your address for when I send out my holiday cards. Or I
Sure, we're in
just am looking for
Stratford,
your
blah, blah, blah.
address.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, honestly, yeah, it is a little bit of a limiting belief. At the same time, just be real clear about why you're doing it. We got this really cool tool at Keller Williams. One of the powerful things that it does, when you guys get to a point in a few years, whenever it may be, Tim, that you're thinking about moving, one of the cool tools is we're able to give you neighborhood reports about where you might be moving to. And it's also going to give you really, really dynamic neighborhood information about where you currently live. You know, so when we start to build that out, and this is going back to when they first built Command, the average zip code skew on information, and I'm in Stratford, New Hampshire. Nobody knows where it is. Even God's still looking. 03884, right? If you go to 03884 from a blimp shot, people spend about 40 seconds. What Gary found and the tech team in Austin found is you drill down to the street level and the end users are spending over 4 minutes snooping because we're curious. To Heather's point, because we're creepy, right? We're curious what's going on. People want to know what's going on in their neighborhood. Now, there's nothing going on in Stratford, and I'm not making this up. We have nothing. We just got electricity, right? But in a more vibrant community, there's a lot going on. And those neighborhood reports and that dynamic information that's changing with the MLS. Gary said the refresh rate on our data is about 14 minutes. You have the coolest tool in real estate at the brokerage level. Make sure you're giving that tool to your end users, to your people that you know and love and trust. So however you want to wordsmith that and get comfortable with it, I'm telling you right now, Heather, I've asked for people's home addresses. Look at my face. That's creepy. I look like a catcher's mitt that's been left in the front yard, right? And they're giving it to me, but I'm asking, but I'm showing them the value of why I'm asking for the information to serve them better and let them know I'm not going to send you anything until you're ready to start to do stuff. Whatever I can send you to help you, if you guys are looking for something on the Cape or whatever the case may be. And so you guys all know Gary made a data pledge. They're never going to get an email from Gary. Texas has oversight. That Texas can see that Debbie Courtney has 700 people in her command. That's not enough, by the way, but you're getting there, right? But Gary's not going to be like, oh, Steve in Detroit, I'm going to send him an email because I have access to Debbie's data. It's not, it's your data. He made a pledge. They're never going to get an email from Texas. So just know that. So don't be afraid to put your people in command. This is when you think about retiring and selling your business, this sounds horrible and it's true. It's a thumb drive. Somebody's asking for your data when you sell your business, unless you have a really beautiful office and a limo driver, right? Other than that, it's a thumb drive. So start to fill the thumb drive. Okay.
Yeah. And, that's part of, a great affirmation. I provide value. And so I've changed the way that I think about things like that. Like, why wouldn't they want to give me their address?
Yeah.
But usually the objection starts with us. And 10 home previews per week. Know your market. If you're not able to physically get in a property, then do go onto the MLS and look at, the properties that pop up on the market every day. And then if you need extra help with how to get physically into them, put it out on your market center's Facebook page. Offer to host an open house for someone. Say, I'm a new agent. If anybody needs help with inspections or showings or open houses, please let me know. And just like we need to remind our people frequently and with some consistency that we're here to help them, you need to let the agents in your market center know consistently that you're there to help with any of those things if you're trying to get into homes. Build relationships on all levels is also with your co-brokes.
Yeah,
Wow,
you can
that's
either
the first time
host
I
one.
brought co-brokes up today. That's unusual for me.
You can host one for another agent, Susan, and above and beyond that, just whether your market center has home tours that you can go on to preview these homes. It's all about knowing. So when you're having that conversation with your buyer or your seller, you can talk in an educated way about the property. Above and beyond that, attend open houses. Go support your fellow brokers, whether they're at another brokerage or within your market center. Attending those open house is important. And above and beyond that, just know when we go in, I'm going to walk right up to Elizabeth. I'm going to say, hey, Elizabeth, Tim Lindsay with Keller Williams, just wanted to preview the property for my clientele. Thanks for hosting. We're not talking to anybody else in that building. All the fish in that bowl are her conversations. We are not there to go shopping. Don't do it. Don't be that person, right? You know, but you can be previewing it for your people, or you can attend an open house with your people, and your well-educated buyers are going to walk in and introduce themselves to Elizabeth, fill out the paperwork and say, I'm currently working with Tim Lindsay, which is great leverage for Elizabeth, because then she can call me and say, hey, Timmy, your people came through on Saturday. Do they need a second showing? What are their thoughts? How can I help? Because we're always engaging with the clients, if they're represented with the client's
Agent.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm almost out of words. Holy smokes. It's got to be 12. Lindsay's out of words.
We're close. We're close.
Stop talking. Right down.
We're in the home stretch, people. We're in the home stretch. We're getting there. Daily success habits is memorizing, internalizing scripts. So I know we're trying to get away from calling everything a script and calling it a conversation. And really, that's what a script is. It's really just learning how to have a conversation about topics about real estate, so that when you practice with a partner, you're not practicing on your customers and your clients. When we have more of a focused head to be able to just listen, then we'll know how to respond and add value. Unless you practice scripts, you're really not listening when you're talking to someone, because you're so worried that they're going to ask you a question about real estate that you don't know how to answer. So the scripting part is just so that you can internalize those conversations and know how to add value and how to respond appropriately. Can you attend an open house if you are just starting out with no client, just to experience a process? Anyone can go to an open house. They're open to everybody. I would let the agent on duty, whoever's hosting, just let them know, I'm an agent with Keller Williams, just wanted to come around and see what the house looks like in case I have a buyer, and I'm learning the market. And then you just kind of melt away into a room that there aren't, like, you just don't talk to anybody. You just go and look at the house. Just they're only going to get a little snarky if they see you like talking to buyers that are already there. But you absolutely can.
Yeah.
Which we won't.
Which we won't.
We won't. But yes, absolutely. Go to open houses, search for them on the MLS, and broker open houses are great too. And Isabel actually went to one, and the KW
Got a
listing
lead.
agent gave me a lead. That's awesome.
Amazing. Yeah.
I don't like doing my own open houses. If somebody on my team isn't available, I put it out to the Facebook page, and whoever hosts it, they get the leads. So I would consistently be letting your market center know that you are available for open houses if anybody wants to have you host one on their behalf. Okay. Scripts, why do we do them? It's lead generation. It will help us with lead generation. We script so that we learn how to uncover motivation. Motivation is the most powerful thing, especially when working with a seller. Why are they motivated to leave? Why are they motivated to sell? When you know why, when you have the why, you can help them with the how so much better. And then you bring them back to that. Well, is it still important for you to get to Florida? An offer has come in, maybe it's lower than the asking price. Maybe you need a price reduction and they're not wanting to give it. Well, I know you really wanted to get to Florida by January. The market is telling us that the price is not right. How do we know that? Because we're not getting any showing requests. Or maybe you have had a lot of showing requests and no offers. That's the market telling us that we don't have the price right. So if we make a price adjustment now, I can help get you to Florida for January. We still have time. Uncover their motivation so that you can then help them through the process in a way that will resonate with them.
Yeah. Do you need the $5,000 or do you want to keep on shoveling? It's up to you. Right. And when you have a relationship with them and a rapport with them and you know what the motivation is, you can sort of say those things.
Yeah.
Just remind them like, hey, Mr. Lindsay, when we were first talking, it was all about getting to Florida to be with your aunt who's on the back nine. And I don't mean golf, right? And to be there with her and to take care of her in end of life situation. Are we really having a $4,000 conversation right now? You got to be very direct. And it's not about steering them. and having them make a decision. We're helping them make a decision. We have to help them decide. That's our job. At some point during the
Absolutely.
transaction, we have to help them complete the sale.
Yep. And is it a vacant house? Do they have carrying costs every month? Reducing the price
Yeah.
by $5,000 versus carrying these costs for another 2 months, it's going to cost you more to keep in those carrying costs than it's going to in that price reduction. So that's why we script, so that we can have those conversations. And we script to close deals. Like, there's a lot that happens in contract to close, and can be very challenging. We need to script on all of the things that pop up during the contract to close process. We script on how we talk to our co-brokes during the contract to close process. If we have to negotiate a contract, if we have to, we're asking the other side to give a little. Maybe we're scripting to try to just get an offer accepted, or maybe it's over inspections. And then it looks like, Jennifer, your seller doesn't want to pay that money because they've already come down in price and they don't feel like they have to. And they're right. My buyer feels like they can't afford that. They know that they're going to have to do a new roof now after inspections, and they won't be able to afford that. So they need to reserve some money, and they're right. How do we bring them together? Or, you know what? We have a buyer that wants to buy and a seller that wants to sell. How do we work together as a team to get us all to the closing table? Because we create win-win transactions. When you communicate like that to your co-broke, now you're building a team that they want to work with. But it takes practice to do that. We script so that we can speak in terms that the customer understands, right? Because we're like acronym heavy here.
Yeah. Say multiple listings
FISBO,
numbers
yeah.
so they don't think you're talking about a soccer league.
MLS.
Yeah.
They don't get it. We can't use acronyms and industry lingo with our clients. EMD, earnest money, like, they don't get any of it. We can't assume that they understand that as a buyer, they put down an earnest money deposit, that it actually goes back to them at the closing table. Do you know how many sellers think they get that money when they go under contract? Here's a $10,000 deposit. Great. When they can make the check out to Susan Kenyon. That's not how that works. So we can't assume that they understand the components of a contract or the process. And we can't use acronyms. We have to use, layman terms and language that they will understand. So we script on that so that we can have that and we can pull that out when we need it.
Even
And
the additional layer here, Susan, at KW with like MCA.
oh yeah.
Like, most of the universe is looking for us to say CFO, right?
Yeah.
We have Gary's like, what's the worst bucket of acronyms we could come up with? Let's make them use those, right? Like, so
Dofi.
even if you have a one sheet in your listing presentation, to let them know, like, through the transaction, you're going to hear me say, you might see VA on somebody's email. That's our virtual assistant. She's in Vermont or he's in Nepal or wherever, right? But like, they have no idea. So we've got to really use the full sentence, even though it's really exciting to use the acronym,
Absolutely. And you know what? Scripting builds confidence. When I know how to react to what somebody's saying, and it also allows me to speak calmly, because remember how important tonality is when we're speaking. When you're in a situation with a customer or a co-broke or a client or a vendor, and it's getting tenuous and there's some major challenges, the person who yells first loses. So we practice our scripts so that we're not like, oh my God, why are these people calling me? That's never going to work. We can't speak that way, because now we're just adding gasoline to the fire. And we need to be the person at the table that keeps everything professional and keeps everything calm. We script so that sometimes I script with a co-broke and they don't know I'm scripting them. I'm scripting them to give them the language that they need to go back to their client with.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. So good.
Right. So I might have an inspection and my person might be asking for things that really are not significant issues, but they're significant to them. So I need to give them the language so that when they explain to their seller why I'm asking for things, it comes across the right way. Like, the buyer's asking for some outlet covers to be put on and the toilet to be reseated. And I know that those aren't big things, Tim, but my clients are asking for them because they're 80 years old and they don't have the ability to do those things themselves. And I
toilet
know
seats
your
are
guy's a
gross. I agree.
contractor.
Yep. Yep.
So now Tim can go back to his seller and say, look, I know these aren't some big issues, but they are big to the buyer because of this.
Yeah.
And they're going to be more inclined to want to actually help out that buyer and do that.
Susan made the point too, like getting away from the terminology of scripts, and thinking of them as conversation blueprints, right? These all allow us to listen. My contention is scripting allows us to listen at a higher level. Once you guys have been doing this long enough, and Susan can attest to this, you're going to hear the same 5 to 7 objections every time. They historically just keep coming up. So if I am well scripted and not you're never ready for the objection, you're never ready for the question that you don't know is coming. You can be prepared for it though. So when these conversations are taking place, I'm not freaking out about what I need to say next to Debbie when she asks me X, Y, or Z. I've been scripted. I'm prepared for these conversations, and now I'm listening. And when people feel heard and cared for, you're going to win every time. If I'm like, I'm not even listening to what she's saying because I'm freaking out about what my answer is going to be to what she's saying, and I'm not listening, so I don't even know what I'm going to say. Wow. Go to Kohl's and fold t-shirts, or start to script and get ready for these conversations to be prepared, right? Be prepared for the conversations by leaning into these scripts. Nobody likes them. Said with love, we don't care. These are absolutely what are going to get you through this career and to help you build a legacy worth leaving.
Yep, they're important. So we're not going to do any role play. You guys are off the hook. We're not going to do that right now. But I think that you're getting the understanding, I hope, of how important it is to practice our craft. This is our craft. You know, engineers might have different types of training that they do to be good at what they do. Doctors train for what they do. Athletes train for what they do. We need to train and practice so that we're not practicing on our people. And it will help us be able to serve them, because we need to be providing excellent service, and we can serve them better when we practice with each other. We did talk about the do not call list, so I won't get into that again, but it is important to know that if you don't know how to access this, there's information on the Regional Ignite Facebook page that you guys are probably all a part of. If not, sign up for that, and there is information on there, and you can reach out to your
DoNotCall.gov.
leadership.
Yep.
There you go.
DoNotCall.gov. Yep.
Yep. Okay. Update, contacts, and follow-up. We've talked about a lot about that today, and how important it is to update your contacts and follow up. So you guys can do that offline. And contract practice, practicing your contracts is part of our job, right? Because we negotiate contracts. So if we're going to be negotiating contracts, we need to practice them. Start reading them. If you haven't read through all of your contracts, print them out, get a highlighter, get a red pen, whatever you need to do. You should know what every line means in your listing agreements, your buyer agency agreements, your purchase and sales agreements, and all of the other documents that you guys are going to be presenting to buyers and sellers. It's really important that we understand and know what our contracts are.
Find out when your market center is having contracts classes, and that is sacred cow. Like we cannot miss that.
I don't miss them.
For
I
our
still
market
go to
center, it's
them.
tomorrow. Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. It's 9, 10, and 11 tomorrow here in Portsmouth. And we're encouraging our agents. And are they always there? No. No, we get 775 agents. We will not have 775 people in the room at once, for sure.
Mhm.
Above and beyond that, make that a consistent. If you're missing it for something hyper important, fine. But that should always be something that does not move. Most market centers are delivering those online, I trust. And above and beyond that, our market center does not record them because they're very litigious and the laws are always changing. So you're either in the room or you're not. But find out when your market center delivers contracts classes, and please be in there to benefit your clients.
Absolutely. And you know what? Another, not only are you going to learn about the contract, but people offer suggestions as to how to explain different components of the contract to their clients, or different scenarios of things that come up of how to not write a contract, or what to not write in there, and how we can really be protecting our buyers and sellers and ourselves. to be able to do that. And, I'm a to-do list person. I write out my to-do list every day. And then what I don't do, I roll it on to the next day of what I have to do. And I do the most important things first. So I do encourage you guys to make a list. It doesn't happen unless you write it down sometimes, because you get busy and you forget about stuff. And that brings us to the end of
The
a day in the
survey.
life of an agent.
Yeah, you can scan that QR code with your phone. If you enjoyed today, her name is Susan Kenyon. If you didn't, her name is Nathan Dickey. If you have any complaints, her name is Nathan Dickey. If you loved it, it's Susan Kenyon, and we appreciate your time. I threw my email and my cell phone in there one more time. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, want to go over any of the stuff that we talked about today, I'm happy to help. In lieu of that, obviously find out who your coaches and your leadership members and your rock stars like Susan Kenyon are in your market center, so you can lean into them for help. We're all here to help each other. No
Yeah,
matter how new, and I hate that word, if your license arrived yesterday, today's your first day, you're growing now. You're not new anymore.
that's right.
It's all about how we talk about where we are. So if you're a growing agent, where you're sitting, every one of us sat there at the corner of what in the hell is going on, right? So like, you've got to be okay with that and just like ask questions. Everybody here is 18 plus. Raise your hand, ask questions.
Yep.
If you're missing a tool, we probably have it. If we don't have it yet, don't you think at this point, Gary's probably building it? Say yes, right? So it's coming to a theater near your face. And if you're looking for a tool, a system, or relationship, I guarantee you're in the right place. We have it. You just got to raise your hand, ask for help. Everyone's here to help. We really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much, Susan.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you guys. And good luck setting those appointments and getting that contract signed, Elizabeth. I'm going to be asking about you next Wednesday.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, we're back on the 22nd. So I'm going to tell you that Susan's back on the 22nd. That way you guys will show up. If I show up, I'm probably going to be here too, but I'll do my best to talk less, which is impossible. I apologize in advance. Have a
We're a
great day,
team for a
guys.
reason. Yeah.
If we can help, Susan's got her information there. I do too. It's TLINDSEY@KW.com, 603-834-2856. My cell phone, obviously, if you're like walking into somebody's house, you're about to knock a door and you're like, what the hell do I say now? I'm happy to help. If I don't pick up, don't forget I have 775 agents, so it might be a little bit later, but I'll get to you to the best of my ability. Thanks,
Absolutely.
guys.
Have a great day.
Take care.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
You're welcome.